Hey guys, how are you? I hope you guys have had an amazing day. Today's Friday, so we getting the bonus one this week. You got Xfinity to thank for that. But I'm super excited about coming out and teaching you. I did write down some notes today. So we're gonna have a teaching on today. I want to thank you to the moderator, Sister Cindy. Thank you for the gift. God bless you. God bless you. As you guys come in, do me a favor. Be sure to like, be sure to share, or what have you. So I'm looking forward to this particular teaching. I didn't get a chance. I'm glad I scheduled this for 9 o'clock, but I can't say I didn't get a chance to finish out all of my notes. So I will be writing as y'all are coming in the room. Do me a favor. Be sure to like, be sure to share Facebook. Let me know that you're in the room. As always, let me know that you're in the room by hitting that love button. Let me see these comments come up. Let me see these comments come up. All right. I'm already. So yeah. All right. We done. Let's go ahead and get ready to get started. I want to tell the story, but I like to let like 100 people. I was going to say 1,000. We bless the Lord for 1,000 people logging in live at one time, right? But I want to get 100 people in the room before I start talking about this. Before I tell y'all why I decided to come out and do this lesson, because honestly, I should be upstairs working on a client's project right now. I've had a pretty interesting week. I'll say that I've had a pretty interesting week. This week has been a week I've had to wrestle down offense quite a bit because it just seems like a lot of folks around me was just acting up. I felt like I was pulled in so many different directions, and everybody's just not acting right, including clients. I had not all of my clients. I had some clients that I haven't really heard from too much this week because I'm working on their stuff. But then I have some clients that playing games. I had a couple of clients that playing games, like straight up playing games. I'm talking about no, I said, what on God's green earth is happening over here? And it was just really annoying. How be it. Today's Friday. I got through it. Um, I just found myself, I can honestly say this week seemed to be a week of annoyance. This week seemed to be a week of annoyance. It's a blessed week. It was a week of joy, excitement, all of these things that, God has given me to do. Like I'm starting to see my short film that I shot is going to be, and I told you guys about it, September 1st through the 3rd. Um, there's a theater I'm looking at. It has 150 seats, which means that, yeah, it's gonna be real tight up in there. So once I open up for registration, I have to get the actors and everybody else to see how many of them are gonna be coming down. But once I open up for registration or what have you, it's gonna be real tight. That means that once I post it here, you're gonna have to hurry up because we got like 40 or 50 actors, and I know they're gonna probably want to bring their family. So I'm actually starting to think that I may have to rent out the theater 2 times. I pray. Well, I ain't gonna say I pray not. That would be good, but that's it. I'm excited about that. So I had some good things happening. It reminded me of this time last year. I'm gonna say this. This time last year, I was getting ready to go to the Dominican Republic with my students. I had my book's Relational Acuity about to come out. Plus, I was getting ready to shoot the short film once I came back. So I had a lot on my plate. I was feeling the pressure of it all. And boy, did the warfare break out. Did that warfare break out? But it was worth it in the end. I can say my highlight reels, I'm just letting 100 people come in. I can say my highlight reels. Um, oh, God, you can't make the cruise, Chrissy. I'm disappointed. All right, I'll see you then, though. But my highlight reels, was us, on the set of the film. We had so much fun on the set. That's just been a moment for me, what have you, and our time in the Dominican Republic. So to think that we're getting ready to do that again, but we're going to be on a cruise ship, I'm super excited about that, or what have you. So with that being said, be sure to like, be sure to share, and let me know y'all in the room. I'm being religious in it. I'm letting 3 more people come in here before we get started, and that way we'll have 100 in here strong. Again, Facebook, let me know that y'all are in the room. Be sure to hit the love button. Don't just look at me. Don't just look at me, okay? I didn't come to in my face, do that little whack crazy thing I did the last time. Okay. All right. All right. Give me a second. All right. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and get started. let's talk about why I decided to do this particular message. Funny story. Remember, I just got through telling y'all that this was kind of a relatively challenging week, right? I had a lot of things going on this week or what have you. I could tell that, getting ready to release this short film, other things that I got in the works or what have you, doing this grand opening for my shop, all of that, I could tell that the enemy is putting a lot of pressure. Like, one thing, let me tell you this, the enemy, and I need y'all to hear this, the enemy specializes in frustration. So the thing about it is, if the enemy can frustrate you, if he can frustrate you, like if you're pushing for it, like you're trying to write a book, you're building a business, anything that you're trying to do, the enemy knows if I can frustrate your mind time and time again, if I can come from every side, if I can bombard you, then what I can do is I can get you to never want to experience that again. I can get you, in most cases, some people, I can get you to back up. And that could create, because I need y'all to hear me. I need y'all to hear me. If you back up, you create a trauma experience. I really need you to hear me on that. If you back up, you create a trauma experience, which means that, let's say God told you to start a business, right? And you start the process of starting a business. You're trying to get your LLC. You got somebody working on your website, and you're looking at some buildings and stuff like that. You got to look at materials, all of this stuff, and you're gonna be out quite a bit of money, right? When all this over is said and done, and this thing is taking over your time. It's just taking over your life. And then all of a sudden, all these like 8 people that you got working, that you're working with, out of all 8 of them, you got 6 of them, right? That's frustrating you. The one with the LLC said, hey, we need your social security number. You said, I put it in. Well, they rejected it. I put it in. I'll go back and put it in again. Okay, could you send it to me? No, because I don't know you like that. I will go put, excuse me, I will go put it back in the site. I'll go put it back in the site. The real estate agent that's supposed to be getting the building for you. Glad I got this over here. The real estate agent that's supposed to be going to get the building for you, she says, the building that you wanted, they're not answering any of my texts. They set up an appointment with me, then they send me a text to cancel, but they're not responding or what have you. So you can receive or experience frustration on every end. This is just a little bit of wisdom, a little bit of revelation from a builder to those of you who are called to build, or those of you who are in the process of building. Keep pressing, because if you get to that space and you get overwhelmed and you back up, you're going to get traumatized from that. You're going to get traumatized from that. And once you get traumatized from it, when the time comes, when you try to get your gut back up, you're going to remember everything that you went through. You're going to remember everything that you went through. So what you have to do is right there in the midst of it, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. When you're in the midst of that thing, you have to keep pressing. That means when the enemy is saying, no, you're getting no every side. You got to sit there and tell the enemy, you got to tell him, the promises of God are yes and amen. The promises of God are yes and amen. You have to literally hold your ground. You have to literally plant your feet. You have to literally sit there and say, I'm not moving. Something gonna move, but it ain't gonna be me. You literally, I'm giving you the secret of a builder. In order for you to accomplish anything, in order for you to achieve anything, in order for you to win at spiritual warfare, you got to be more stubborn than the devil. In order for you to win against the enemy, you have to be more stubborn than the devil. If the enemy if his standoff is like this and yours is like, and your feelings start getting involved, then he gonna push you back. He gonna drive you back. He gonna keep walking towards you, and you're gonna keep going back. You're gonna retreat. He's going to advance. And from that point on, whenever somebody comes and says, hey, did you finish the building? Did you finish the book? Did you do this? Girl, it just felt like I had a lot of stuff, it was just happening. This was happening, or what have you. But I'm gonna get to it. By the time it comes time for you to do it again, you'll be scared, because you will remember the level. You'll remember the warfare that you went through. So that is to say, keep pressing. I don't know who needs to hear that, but keep pressing. All right. So getting to the story. This is one of my frustrating events for the week, right? I can tell you quite a bit of stories from this week, including the clients that I had, a couple of clients that I had that have been playing mind games. I finalized one. I'm still in entanglement with the other one, trying to get him to sign. It's a whole mess, or what have you. But This one doesn't have anything to do with a client. It has everything to do with phone service. Okay. Recently, I decided, it's been on my heart, it's time for you to get a second phone. That's what's been on my heart. Now, just follow me. This is going to probably be an extensive story. I'm going to try to shorten it up as much as I can. It's been on my heart. You need to get a second phone. You need a phone for your business, right? You got your vision business, what have you. This phone should not be clicking with personal calls and professional, business calls. It shouldn't be doing that. So you got the office space. You are growing. You are elevating. It's time to get a second phone. Now, I've had a second phone before. First time I had it, I had got the Google Pixel 6, but I never used it. I never transferred anything over. I had service to it. I was just paying a note for it, but I wasn't using it. Ultimately, I decided to give that phone away. That was about a couple of years ago. So it's been heavy on my heart to get another phone. And I ended up, I was like, okay, what phones are out right now? Because I need something that has a good camera. I want something that has a good camera. I want something that gets good service, but I'm a media type. I'm a media mind. I need something that has an excellent camera. I got the iPhone 12. This has an excellent camera. I don't want to upgrade. Now, I'm going to say I'm with Xfinity as far as my mobile service. I don't want to upgrade this to an iPhone 14. I don't want to upgrade this to an iPhone 14. Because if I upgrade this, from what I heard, the iPhone 14 ain't no better than the iPhone 12. So to me, that's just paying money for absolutely nothing, right? They said the iPhone 14, there hasn't been much of any advancement. So I said, whenever I upgrade my iPhone, it's going to be where they bring out an iPhone that's better than the one that I got. So when I went on their website, I'm looking and I'm trying to question, like, what is the techiest phone? I thought to myself, because the iPhone 15 is about to come out, and this is just for my tech heads. The iPhone 15 is about to come out, and I said, if the iPhone 15 is worth its weight in gold, if it turns out to be good, then I'll trade this in for the iPhone 15. But I'll have something else, on the side. So I didn't want to get, in short, I didn't want to get the iPhone 14 and have the iPhone 12 and then the iPhone 15 come out, and then I'm like, well, I'll trade in this. No, I'd much rather get something that I know is good. When I had the Google Pixel 6 Pro, the camera on there was better than the camera on here. It was excellent. It was excellent. Black Diamond, you're beautiful. Thank you. God bless you. All right. And so if I had the 11, I would definitely upgrade. And because the 12 is supposed to be like that high spot, but now they said, don't get the 14 if you got the 12. I placed the order the other day. I called into Xfinity. I chose the Google 6A, the Pixel, because I don't know any other ones on there. So I chose that one. I placed the order. Everything seemed to go well. They ask you, once you place your order, they send you a text, and you gotta take a picture of your driver's license, and the front and then the back. They send you a text to a link. When you open it up, it tells you, click this link if you're ready. You click it, and it opens up the camera thing. You take a picture, all that. I did it, and that was done on. Excuse me. That was done. Can you give me a date, please? Okay, I thought so. It was done July 12th. That was done on July 12th. Today, I was wondering, I haven't heard. She told me my phone to be here in 2 days, but I don't have a confirmation email saying that your phone has been shipped. I haven't heard anything back. So I decided earlier today, around 12 noon, because I got up kind of early. I said, let me call them at 1 o'clock. I said, let me call them and find out where my phone at. What's going on with my phone. So when I call, the lady gets on the phone, and was this the first? Yeah, she gets on the phone, and this lady, Sister Danielle, I love me some of you. Thank you, sis. God bless you. She gets on the phone, and this right here, it reminds me of religion. They have a script. I have worked in scripted environments before. I worked at AT&T. We had a script, and you had to obey that script. I worked for West.com before. We had a script, right? I helped people to get on with LiveOps.com. They had a script. If you came outside of that script, you can get fired. You can get yourself in some trouble. They have a script. Well, the problem with the script is this, and this is just like religion. The problem with the script is this. Sometimes people have something that they need understanding about. Like there's something else that you can't fold underneath that script. So I'll make it make sense. I get on the phone And the lady, she's foreign, right? She's trying, I could tell she was probably from China. She's trying to push me into the script. And she said, okay, so they canceled your order. I said, they canceled my order? What did they cancel my order for? What happened? She was like, I don't know, the verification process. I said, when I was doing a verification process, it kept rejecting a photo. It kept rejecting it. I said, there's something wrong with you guys' thing. I said, then it finally accepted it. So it told me it was accepted. As a matter of fact, I never closed the window I just opened up a different window. I said, it's still on my screen. She was like, yeah. So this is the part where I started seeing control with her. I told her, she said, yeah, I'm sorry. No worry, your account wasn't charged. Um, we can go ahead and we can, place the order for the phone again. So we'll just she said, so did you want she said, I see you had the Google 7 Pro. Did you want to go ahead and get the Samsung A54? I think that's what it was. She said, did you want to go ahead and get the Samsung A54? She said, we're running a special on the Samsung A54. Let me see if that was it. Okay, Samsung 854. No, it is A, the letter A, A54. She said, we're running a special on the A54. It is completely free when you get a line. I said, no, I want to get the Google Pixel. Because I'm thinking to myself, I've never heard of the Samsung. She was like, yeah, but so she starts talking. I don't remember everything she said. I don't want to lie on her. But she was not accepting me talking about I want the this Google 7 Pro. Instead, I don't like control because I feel like I'm constricted. Like there's this wall right there in front of me, and you're not giving me anywhere to go. Like I can't go forward. So for me, I'll go sideways to get out. Because I'm just like it just feels like the walls are crawling in. That's what it felt like. I felt like I was being crushed in that moment. Like I'm trying to tell her what I want, and whatever. I'm pretty sure they're getting some type of benefit or some type of. So they're getting something for, giving that promotion. And I said, no, I want to get the Still Go 7 Pro. She was like, yeah, but that order was canceled. This, and that. She said, the 7 Pro, the A54 is a good phone or something. She said, and it would be free. You would just be paying $50. She kept talking. I'm talking. She's cutting me off. She kept talking. I get annoyed, and then I just went ahead and I said, okay. Right, sales metrics. I get annoyed and I just say, okay. But the reason I said okay, because I started thinking to myself, maybe, what if this is God telling me that this is a good phone? What if this is God, you're going to get a free phone? What if it's just as good? It's a new phone. What if it's just as good as the Google 7 Pro? You feel the pressure right now, but what if this is just as good as that? And I'm just like, no, I don't think it's just as good. But I just went ahead and I said, okay. In the midst of me saying, okay, I'm not fully agreeing. I'm just letting her go to the next prompt because you can tell she's in a rush to get to the next prompt. I'm letting her go to the next prompt, but I know I'll say, back up at any moment. So now I'm in a war in my mind. I go from on the phone like this to literally I'm on the phone, just holding the phone. I put it on speaker and I'm just kind of like this. And then she was like, okay, we got the Google 7, the Google the Samsung A54. We got this, we got this, we got this. Okay, your order. Okay, give me she said, can we use this card number on file, the last 4 digits? And I'm just sitting there like, yeah, but I'm fighting with myself inside because that ain't what I want. Finally, it ends so fast. She was like, okay, you get a text link where you can, again, I got to take pictures of my ID and all this other stuff. I get off the phone with her. I decide not to do the pictures. I decide, let me wait it out. Let me see how I feel about it because I don't want to end up with a phone that I don't want because I'm going to end up calling back or what have you. So I decided, let me see what I feel about it. And then after so long, I decided, let me just go ahead and take the pictures and stuff like that. If it comes, I don't like it. It was free. I'll just go ahead and tell them to send the other phone. If they let me keep it, I'll give it away. It'll be a blessing to somebody else. Maybe that's a blessing, what have you. After probably about 2 or 3 hours, I get another text to verify. I'm like, I've already verified. What are you talking about? So I go and I take the picture again, and I'm like, no, let me call them because I'm not in the mood for this. We've already been through this with this cancellation the first time. Let me call. I call back. And at this particular time, I'm annoyed. I'm in Karen mode. But at the same time, Karen mode doesn't mean I'm going to be nasty to people. It means that you can feel my frustration. So in my heart, I started praying, let it be an American, because I don't feel like going through the language barriers. I don't feel like this cutting each other off because we don't understand. I don't feel like none of that. Like literally, I want this to flow. So this lady gets on the phone after me having a hang up call back. This lady gets on the phone. She sounds somewhat American. Her English was impeccable. I will say that I could hear a slight accent. I don't know where she was from, but she had, her English, was impeccable. I get on the phone with her and I explained the issue to her, and she was like, "Okay, so you just want to?" I told her, I said, "I want to edit the order." I didn't say cancel. I said, "I want to edit the order. I don't want the I don't want the Samsung A54." I said, "I don't want that." She said, "Which one do you want?" I said, "I want to get the Google 7 Pixel or what have you." She said, "Okay." She said, "Okay, well, this is the fraud department. I don't know why they sent you over here, but I will go ahead and cancel that order and then I'll send you over to sales." I'm like, crippity crappers, because the lady spoke good English. I was happy when I got on the phone with her. I smiled when I got on the phone with her. But I was like, okay, I'm thinking to myself, hopefully the next person pick up this line, gonna speak good English. Instead, what I hear on the line, she comes back. She's like, "Hey, okay, I got another agent for you. Is there anything else I can help you with before he takes over the call?" I was like, "No, ma'am, you've been great. Thank you so much." She said, "You're most welcome, and thank you for choosing Xfinity." And then all of a sudden, I hear this guy. He said, "Hello, I am in two days," and I was like, "What?" He's talking, and I can't understand him. He's talking, I can't understand him. When he gets on the phone, he tells me that he was like, "Okay, well, your order was canceled." I said, "My order was canceled. How was my order canceled? Why was my order canceled?" He was like, "The verification process or something." I just remember by the time I got to him, this was the second time. I said, he was like, "Okay, I don't know why. What we can do is we can go back through the process again." I said, "Sir, I don't want to go back through the process again and get the same result." And so now this is what happens. Religion creates trust issues. Control create or issues that create control. The issue of control, it stems from trust issues. It stems from being disappointed at some point in your life. Consequently, because you were disappointed, you start controlling things and controlling people in an attempt to not be disappointed anymore. So I'm on the phone. I'm not willing to listen to anything. I want, just tell me what you're gonna do different. Literally, that's what I meant. That's where I was in that moment. Tell me what you're going to do different, because I'm not willing to spend another 20, 30 minutes on this phone trying to go through this process or what have you. I don't know if y'all charging my card. I got to go check my account now. I don't like throwing my time away. So he was like, "Ma'am, just don't worry. I will, I will fix the problem." I said, but he said, "Because it's just you got it." So he's making it look like it's me failing at the verification process. I said, "I did not fail at the verification process. It gave me the green check to let me know, and it even told me that it was first process." I said, "I'm telling you, it's something wrong with your system." So I'm asking, what can we do differently? Because in my head, I'm thinking, can I just email my license? Like, can I just email it? Can I take a picture of it and email it instead? Because this little automated verification thing y'all got going, I'm not liking it, and it's getting on my nerves. So you got him on one end reading by a script, and he ain't willing to move, and I feel the constriction of that script. You got me on the other end that now has trust issues because they've already failed me. This gonna minister to somebody. You got him on one end who's reading by a script, religion. You got me on the other end who I no longer trust because I've already been through something, trauma. You got religion and trauma. So I'm sitting up there and I'm like, "Sir, I hear what you're saying, but I'm telling you, you're taking me through the same motion that I've already been through before, and I'm not willing to go through this motion." What I'm saying is, because we're going to pass the process, because I can tell he wasn't hearing me when I kept telling him that when we got to the part of the process for taking the pic, that's where it's failing. That's y'all system failing. On the phone, this part is a felon. They get my card information. We do everything. Everything checks out on the phone. This when y'all send me the link and get off the phone. And I do all of that stuff. And then it turns around and tells me that it has passed. He completely talking over me. He cutting me off. Constriction. He cut me off. Finally, I know this story is kind of frustrating. I should have gave a trigger warning. Finally, he was like, okay, man. I said, just cancel the order. No, finally, I said, can you give me a supervisor? Can you give me a supervisor? This is me in a Karen moment. And he was like, I can help you with a supervisor, but ma'am, and he's still talking. I don't understand a lot of what he's saying. I said, you know what? Just cancel it. Just cancel the order. Because I started thinking, I'm going to Metro PCS. I'm going to go up in there to Metro PCS. I'm going to go get me a phone. I don't have to deal with the constriction, all of that stuff. I ain't got to deal with none of that stuff. I go in Metro PCS, pick out the phone, pay for the phone, tell them what plan I want. I'm being about 20 minutes, and then I'm going to walk out of there with the phone. I done had Metro PCS before. I'll just get that as a second line. Boom. That's what we're going to do. But then he kept talking. He was like, he said, man, we can just go ahead and finish the process. And, I'm sure we can get it to go through this time. This. He's still talking. So finally, I just kind of conceded. I was like, go ahead. In my head, it's going to fail. And when it does, I'm going to Metro. It's going to fail. And then I'll wait till Monday or maybe tomorrow to go to Metro. So we're going through the process. And then we do the same thing I've already done before, with the last two agents. We do the same thing. We get to the end. He asked me to put my card information in the phone. I do all that. And then get up on the couch. Go. I don't know why my dog is weird like that. He want to get up there, but he'll look at me for permission. But we're going through it. So I'm just kind of, I'm literally on the phone like this with it on speaker. Just like this. Like, I already know what's going to happen. You got to see it. Finally, we're on the phone, and then he said, it's going to send you a link in the email for you to take pictures of your ID. If you follow through with this verification process, I said, that's what I'm telling you. I've done that before. And that's when he started understanding what I was saying, because he was too busy talking over me at first. I said, I said, this is what I've been trying to tell you. I've done that before. I've taken pictures of the ID. I've done that before. It tells me that I've done well. It tells me that I did what I was supposed to do. But then it keeps canceling. Y'all keep telling me that I didn't follow through with the verification process. My order's being canceled. I said, this right here about to be the third cancellation. And I said, I'm not doing this no more. So he said, okay. He said something I didn't understand. And then he got quiet. I said, you still there? He's like, yeah. I said, what did you say? I said, are you telling me to do it while you're on the phone? He said, yes. Go ahead and take the picture while I'm on the phone. He said, that way we can see what's happening. So I said, okay, fine. I went, took the picture of my ID, took the picture of the back of my ID. Trying to see if I put it back in my purse. I did. I took the picture of my ID, took the picture of the back of my ID. I said, hit the continue, hit the agree. I said, there, it's it. And then he said, okay, let me see what's happening. Then he sat back. He refreshed the screen. He said, it just canceled your order again. I said, can you tell me why? Is it giving you a reason why it's canceling my order? He was like, did you do? I said, I did the verification process. Like I told you before, I've been doing the verification process and it's not pressing through. That's what I'm trying to tell you. He was like, so I'm on the phone and I'm like, no, I'm not going to worry about it. He was like, we can kind of go through. I said, no, I'm not going through the process again. Or what have you. So we're talking. And then he says, wait, ma'am. I said, yeah. He said, just went through. He said, it just went through. I don't know what happened. He in his accent. It just went through. This man gets so uberly excited, like to the moon with excitement. All right. Wow, I got smoke still coming out my head. He gets to the moon. He was like, it didn't go through for the other people. It is going through. I got it to go through for you. I don't know what happened. But yes, ma'am, you should have a confirmation email. I go check my email. Sure enough, I get my first confirmation email that reads what? Mobile order confirmation. We've confirmed your order. Right? And I'm sitting up there. I was like, He over there excited. He can't stop talking about how he made it go through. He was like, it failed. It didn't pass the confirmation test. The last two, they didn't get it through to you. And the funny part was, this is gonna sound weird. I was happy for him. I wasn't so much as happy. I was happy this went through because I made up my mind. I'm gonna go give me a phone. Oh good. Wait, hold up. Y'all. How about I didn't know this and I'm just now seeing this on my phone? Let me see if I can. I don't know if I can cover this up. I don't know if I can cover that up. They canceled it again. I didn't know that. This was sent to me 48 minutes ago. Your order placed on July 14th has been canceled. Thank you. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. But I'm saying that to say, I allowed him to have his moment. I allowed him to have his joy and celebration or what have you. I got it to go through. I got it to go through. No, that's okay. I'll be at Metro first thing tomorrow if I get a chance because I have an outing I'm supposed to go to tomorrow. But I'll be at Metro first thing tomorrow. I'm telling you, right? You have to go in this. It's when I tell you absolutely annoying because I hate wasting my time. So I'm not tripping on it. I'm surprised to see it because I'm over here looking for the other Xfinity and I see it says your order has been canceled. Right? It's just been a constant thing every time. What this boost? No, it's Xfinity. I was going to go back with them because I already have a line with them, and you can get you can get two lines for $30, and I'm already paying 50 something dollars a month, and I'm like, well, I can pay $10 extra and have two lines or what have you. But yeah, it looks like they canceled my order all over and again. They canceled my order all over again. But I'm saying that to say that when it comes down to control, we saw control on two spectrums, right? On it. And that's what I kept thinking about when I was on the phone. We saw control on two spectrums. There's no worry, I'm not gonna trip on it. I will have to go. I'm going to Metro PCS. I ain't got time. I'm gonna go to Metro PCS, and I'll probably cancel my order with them with this particular phone with them, and see if I can get this on to another carrier because I ain't probably got time for all that. That's just too much of a headache. That their system is wiggity whack. Okay, it is really right. That's what I'm thinking. I'm going to cancel this other line too, and just take my phone number and take my line somewhere else, so I don't have to deal with all of that headache. All right. Now, I want to talk about control in the retrospect because when I came out of that, I saw control in two spectrums. The first one, religious control. The first one's religious control. Religious control, for example, when you go by a script, you can turn the Bible into a script. Which means that you can read the black and white letters on a page and you can really restrict yourself to that, to the point where you give no room for the voice of God, to the point where you give no room for understanding. God said, above all that getting, get understanding. Come to AT&T. I'll look at them. I remember AT&T used to always kind of be hard, their prices and stuff like that, or what have you. So I was trying to get the deal that I had with a deal that they were offering, the 2 for $30, because I'll be paying pretty much the same, or what have you. Plus I'll be upgraded. But since they are doing it that way, they ain't gonna be getting no $55 out of me. Plus I get another phone. I'm gonna go somewhere else. Right? Maybe God has something better. I'm gonna go in Metro PCS tomorrow. But I saw religious control. Religious control moves by a script. Religious control moves by, you have to do it this way. It's like law. And when I say religious, don't always just think Bible. Religious control is, for example, if I don't do this, like, I'm trying to think, when I wake up in the morning, if I don't brush my teeth, I feel like I've lost my mind. Now, brush your teeth, please, because the morning, brush your teeth. But if that is going to just, I think a better example is coffee. I think because that's what you see most people deal with. That's a form of like religious control. Religious means habitual. That's a form like of religious control. Whereas in the morning, you feel that I gotta do this. Like if I have my coffee, then you start telling people you having a bad day, or you just kind of going off on people, you cussing people out, You being ugly to people because you haven't had your coffee. That's going to be like religious control. Means there's a formula to you, right? There, the enemy has figured you out because now you have patterns. Another word for pattern, whenever it's an ungodly pattern, is stronghold. There's nothing wrong with drinking coffee. There's nothing wrong with having your routines. There's nothing wrong. But if your routine, if you don't pass through your routine, it should not destabilize you. It should not destabilize you. It should be a oopsie daisy. Oh well, I didn't have any coffee, so maybe I'll have some later, or maybe I need to give my body a break from it. That's a form of religious control. You can go and start talking about religious control as it relates to the Bible, right? There are some religions out there, there's some faith, there are some Christian denominations that specialize in religious control. And the hardest demon to cast out is a religious spirit. The hardest demon to cast out is a religious spirit, because when you're dealing with a person with a religious spirit, they're going to be stuck in their ways. They're going to be stuck. They're going to have a lot of pride. And at the same time, they're going to feel like religion roots itself deep in a person's heart. Like if a man believes that a woman not supposed to preach, that's rooted deep in him. In most cases, that's rooted so deep. No matter what he see, the black and white letters on a page, he has no understanding. It's like I said above all that, get understanding. He didn't pray about it. He didn't study his Bible. He didn't study the historical aspect of the Bible. He didn't understand. All he did was he went into a place and he was dealing with, in many cases, toxic masculinity or what have you. Maybe he's dealing with some deep hurt from his mother, deep hurt from women, and then he go into a religious institution. And they said women are not supposed to preach, and they got on a real tight suit, and they ain't got no air conditioning in the place, and the men up in there like, amen. Oh, what have you? And then women appear to be submissive, but they're not really submissive. They're passive. Passivity and submissiveness are not one and the same. Passivity is fear driven. Submissiveness has everything to do with trust. Passivity is fear driven. It is, I don't want to be punished. I don't want to get divorced. I don't want to do this. So I'm going to do what you want me to do so you don't leave. That's passivity. Submission is, I trust you because you've shown me. Over the years, I have a history with you. See, this is how we submit to God. This is how we begin to trust God, because we have a history with him. And our history with him shows us that he's a good God. Our history shows us that he has never left us nor forsaken us. Our history shows us that he's never left us homeless. And if we did, if something happened, it was probably our own fault. Our history, God, shows that God will always take care of us. So now, as you grow in your relationship with God, you become less fearful. Perfect love casts out fear. Your love begins to grow. That means mature love. And then you start trusting God more. That means that you can sleep at night. That means that you no longer are living in the realm of fear, because regardless of what happens, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Regardless of what I feel, regardless of what I go through, at the end of the day, God's got me. As long as I know I'm in his will, God's got me. It may not go the way I want it to go. It may not go as far as I want it to go. But at the end of the day, God's got me. That is when you have history. Trust is built on history. Submission is built on trust. Somebody write it in the chat. Trust is built on history. Submission is built on trust. Do me a favor, guys. Be sure to like and share. Be sure to like and share. If you haven't done it already, be sure to like and share. Trust is built on history. I got to have a history with you to trust you. I tell people this all the time. Let's say when you start talking about dating. If you are traumatized, you come into dating thinking all men are the same, or you think all women are the same. You come into the dating realm like that. That's if you're traumatized and you never got healed. If you're healed, you come into dating understanding, I know this symptom, that sign, and that characteristic, right? I know that because I've already dealt with that before. But at the same time, I'm not going to distrust you. You haven't done anything to make me not trust you, but I don't trust you either. That means right now I'm neutral. I won't say what you will do. I don't distrust you. I won't sit back and say, I'm not going to show signs of distrust. What I will do is just kind of chill. I'm getting to know you. As I'm getting to know you, I'm going to trust. Y'all, submission is inevitable. Submission in anything is inevitable. Every person on here right now is submitting to something. Your submission comes from your belief. You either submit to the will, the voice, and the word of God because you trust God, or you're submitting to another voice. Either way, you're in submission right now. Either way, if you trust yourself, you're in submission right now. You're right now in this very moment, as you're here, you're in submission right now. So that's because you have history with yourself. You trust yourself. And the crazy thing is, some of you trust yourself and you have trusted yourself. You failed yourself time and time again, but you still don't trust God. You still don't trust other people. You rather do it alone. You'd rather go do everything by yourself, for yourself, and you just trust yourself, even though your results have not proven. Because let me tell you, the reason you do that is because, y'all ready? If you have trouble trusting other people and you have trouble trusting God, and you keep trusting yourself, even though you have failed yourself repeatedly, the problem is, you're going to love me in the morning after I say this, you have yet to take accountability for your role in your own pain. In your mind, the reason your life went downhill, the reason you went through hell, the reason you went through the breakup, the divorce, whenever the church hurt, your friendship failed, the reason that you don't talk to your family is everybody's fault but your own. It's everybody's fault but your own. And so that means now you still trust in yourself. You haven't taken accountability because you haven't taken the time out to examine yourself. You haven't taken the time out to say, I'm the common denominator in all of my pain. I'm the common denominator in all of my failure. And so if I'm the common denominator, despite the fact that I can see the fruit of what other people have done to me, I need to find what's in me that causes me to attract those people, be attracted to those people, befriend those people, what have you. I need to find out what's in me. You have to get to the point where you are able to look at yourself and say, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? Why does this keep happening to me? People who don't take accountability will always see everybody else around them, but they won't see themselves. They won't see themselves. And so one of the things that the Bible talks about, you will never find scriptures in the Bible that tells you that you have the ability or the right to control somebody. It does tell a slave to submit to their master. And again, I need to make sure that I'm clear on this. Submission is not control. Submission is not control. Fear-based control provokes passivity. It does not provoke submission. It is easy to submit. I always give this example. I always say, if I'm married and my husband comes and he tells me, he says, babe, before we get married, let me make it real clear to you. I'm taking out the trash. And I'm taking out the trash every night because I don't want you out there at nighttime. I don't want you doing that. So I better not catch your hands on the trash. And I'm like, okay. And I said, but still, I can't, I don't sleep with trash in my house because I grew up with roaches and I don't want to have no roaches in my house. He said, I got you. No worries. I'm taking out the trash. I will submit to that if he takes out the trash every night, right? If he gets up every single night, but if Tuesday he don't take out the trash and I catch him laid up in the bed salivating out the mouth, snoring or what have you, then, and I go up in there and wake him up, I say, hey, you gonna come take out the trash? Because now that has built a habit in me. You gonna come take out the trash? He said, I'll take it out. Oh, baby, this is one night. I'm gonna take it out in the morning. Wednesday, he don't take out the trash. Or he take it out Wednesday and Thursday. Then we start developing this pattern of him sleeping in sometimes and not taking out the trash. Slowly but surely, what do you think I'm going to do? Slowly but surely, what do you think I'm going to do? Daughters who are racist white woman, they're attacking. They call people black Karens too. They're just like very hard to deal with. What do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to take out the trash. So he comes and he says, I don't feel like you're submitting to me. I told you not to touch that trash. I told you I was going to take it out. No, I'm submitting to what you do, not what you say. I'm going to get some of y'all free today. I'm submitting to what you have repeatedly done, not what you said. You said you're going to take it out. And if I keep letting this in, if I keep leaving this in the house and you're not taking it out, you're becoming more and more inconsistent with it. If I keep letting this in, one day I'm gonna see a creepy crawler going up my wall. And then I'm gonna be freaking out because I never wanted to experience that again. And now we're gonna have to put out hundreds and thousands of dollars getting a what do you call I was gonna say a pestician, but we got to pay somebody to come in and kill all of the insects in this house or what have you. You're developing a pattern, you're developing a habit, then you get an attitude every time I wake you up. You get an attitude every time I wake you up. So rather than me deal with the attitude, I'd rather take out the trash. But then you get an attitude because I took out the trash. Do you see how that works? In this, submission is a product of trust. Passivity is a product of fear. Control, exterminator, thank you. Control has everything to do with I need you to do what I say. Submission says, let me show you that you can trust me. Do you see the difference? The difference is submission. And I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. Please don't lock your brain in there. I'm talking about outside of romantic relationships. You know, if you got a friend and your friend says, hey, you know, I'm coming with you. You go on your father-daughter dates I used to go on father-daughter dates with the Lord every week. I don't do it anymore. I got to get back to it. But if I have a friend that says, every week I'm coming with you because we can go hiking first, you know, burn off a few calories, get those muscles strong. Then we go out to eat together. And I say, okay, cool. Let's make a date of it. You're doing that every week. I'm going to do it every week, girl. And okay, so let me know, you know, in advance because I like to make plans. I don't, you know, because I may want to go to a different restaurant. I may decide not to hike. I may decide to go to a different hiking trail if I'm alone. So don't wait. So the next day, we're supposed to meet up at 1 o'clock. The next day, I'm up in there putting on my exercise gear. And then I get a call at 12:35. Hey, girl, I ain't going to be able to make it. Hey, I ain't going to be able to make it. Why? What's going on? Girl, I just slept in. I'm tired. I'm just going to kind of sleep in today. Right then and there, that's fine. There's nothing wrong, but she should have told me that the day before. If she does that repeatedly, she breaks my trust in it. So that means that I'm going to revert back to what I was doing. I'm going to revert back to I'm going on my day. If you come, you come. If you don't, you don't. Well, what we going? No, I'm going to the other trail that I've been going to because that trail is safer than the trail. The other trail that you and I go to is not that safe. It's safe if two women are on there, by you know, or what have you. But if it's just me by myself, it's not that safe of a trail. And so I can't, Sister Lily, thank you. God bless you. You know, the trail is better to buy your ticket online for parking because, you know, usually on Saturdays, there's nobody there. And so I don't want to buy my ticket and you not show up. I don't want to buy the ticket and you not show up. So I'm saying that to say you're submitting to everything. We're all in submission. We're all in submission. Control says disregard history and just trust what I say. Just trust what I say. God says, oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Do you see the difference? God says, oh, let me show you over the course of time. I'll say this. Matter of fact, let me just get into the notes because if I don't get into these notes, we'll be on here. The first thing I want to say, when you have no self-control, you will attempt to control others. The Bible doesn't tell you to control people. The Bible tells you to control yourself. Did y'all hear that? The Bible does not tell you to control people. The Bible tells you to control yourself. Self-control helps you to find peace. Self-control helps you to be more disciplined. Self-control helps you to understand that, I'll say this, self-control helps you to understand how strong a stronghold can be. Self-control will help you to understand how strong a stronghold can be, right? And so when you have self-control, when you have no self-control, you will try to control other people. Meaning if you kind of free with your body, you free with your time, you just free all over. If you have no self-control, you'll be trying to control others. Why you don't want to go? You always don't. You don't never listen to me. I told you I wanted to go to the park. No, you have no self-control because listen, you said you were going to come. You didn't come. You're not disciplined. And because you're not disciplined, I can't leave my schedule loose. Because you're not disciplined, I can't leave my schedule loose to accommodate you. I got to stay on this straight and narrow path. If you coming, come on. If you ain't, I ain't tripping. But I'm going to always set it up for I'm going to always set up my today based on my yesterday. If yesterday you were inconsistent today, I'm going to trust that you're going to be inconsistent. That's what I'm submitting to. If you show up today and do the right thing, praise God. But if you keep doing that, if you keep showing up, then I'm going to trust that you're going to show up. Do you see how that works? So I'm trying to get you to understand submission, passivity, and control before we get into the notes. But when you have no self-control, you will attempt to control others. I want to start off with a few scriptures, and then I got some examples of control in the Bible. Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Submission is a product of trust. Trust is a product of history. You got to have history with God. That's why when you're a babe in Christ, you keep falling. You're just like a little kid. You don't trust your legs. Your legs are still new. Whenever you're taller, when they stand you up for the first time, you're going to keep falling, right? When they, come to mama, and you over there wobbling all over the place and what have you, and then, you hit the floor, right? And then they pick you back up and they stand you up and you wobbling and you hit the floor. But a just man falls 7 times, but he gets back up again. And so you have to understand that in order to learn to stand, you have to be okay, or you have to understand that you're going to fall. You have to understand. So when you're a babe in Christ, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. When you're a babe in Christ, you're going to disappoint God. You're going to disappoint yourself. And a lot of times in you disappointing yourself, or disappointing God, you may start feeling like, and I won't even say disappointing God because he expects you to fail in the beginning. He understands that you're a babe or what have you. So he gives you grace for that. But you may disappoint yourself to the point where you don't want to get back up again. But God said this is the difference between a just man and an unjust man. A just man gets back up again. An unjust man is going to stay down. An unjust man go back into fornication and say, forget it. Listen, this is just who I am. Y'all just going to have to accept me for how I am. Even though I'm a Christian, I don't believe in waiting before marriage. What the heck is you talking about? Proverbs 14:12. There is a way which seemeth right to a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. Manny Moniz, God bless you. Thank you, sis. There is a way which seemeth right to a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. Now, it's not just death to the person, death to the body. It's death to finances. It's death to relationships. It's death to anything that you've been building. Every last one of us is building something. It's death to that. Right. And so there's a way that seems right to you. This is why the Bible said there's safety in a multitude of counselors. So there's a way that feels right, seems right, and you can, feel like, no, I know what I'm doing, or what have you. But the Bible says the end thereof is death. And so this is why you have to humble yourself and make sure you have wise counsel in your life. Matthew 15:14. Matthew 15:14. Let them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind, and if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into a ditch. If you just go back to, there's a way that seems right to a man, but the end thereof is death. That ditch is your grave. That ditch is the grave of something, whatever that you're building. So let them alone. Let the blind be the blind. If you're blind, that means you're not moving in revelation. You're moving based on feeling. You're moving based on your fear, your trust, your distrust, your trauma. Then what you're doing is you're moving blindly, right? You're kind of feeling around in the dark. And if anybody follows you, they're going to fall with you. And so let's let them alone. Let the blind, they be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into a ditch. This is why I tell you guys, make sure that you're healing, make sure that you're doing whatever you need to do or what have you, because if not, you'll keep on going in circles and cycles. And even though you can see with your natural eyes, spiritually speaking, you'll be blind and you won't see the spirits ahead of you. You won't see the trauma. You won't see the chaos ahead of you. You won't see the ditches ahead of you. You'll just keep going in the same direction that you came out of, hoping to see a different end. Sister Nikita, you're awesome. Thank you, sis. God bless you. God bless you. All right. I want to give you some examples of evil control in the Bible. Example of evil control in the Bible. And I'm going to talk about people real quick. Number 1, Amnon and Tamar. Amnon and Tamar. This is physical control. And we know that Amnon sexually assaulted his sister. And that's when you, that is one of the highest forms of control, is when you override the will of a person. We have the mind, will, and emotions. But anytime you override the will, the will of a person, that is the highest form of control. He physically assaulted or sexually assaulted his sister. Number 2, Joseph's brothers. This is another form of physical control, right? Physical. They took him, they threw him into a pit. That means they forced him. They threw him into a pit. After that, they turned around, they sold him into slavery. That is control. Number 3, Jesse, which is David's father. This is perspective control, or choice, more so choice limitation. Choice limitation. in this, a form of control is if, like going back to the cell phone, what the lady was doing was she was limiting my choice. And even though I'm saying I want this particular cell phone, she was limiting my choice in the matter, right? She just constantly limiting it. Choice control is when, if you sit back and say, hey, let's say you're married and y'all decide you want to go out of the country, right? And let's say you are a wife, your husband trusts you to, to kind of look up. And he said, okay, we got 5 places that we want to go. We got on our bucket list to go. And you sit back and y'all talk about it. And he says, hey, I want to go to Tahiti. You say, hey, I want to go to France. So both of you are, you're kind of talking about what you want to do. And the husband, you said you want France. The husband gives you the opportunity to book everything. Y'all talk about it. And he says, babe, listen, since we're so passionate about where we want to go, why don't we go to one of these other countries on the list? So call and get the information for France, because we can look into France, for Tahiti, get the information for all of this stuff. Find out what's the cheaper option. Which one is better to travel to this time of the year. Kind of look into that. And she says, okay, Sister Amanda, thank you. God bless you. She says, okay, I'll do that. And then she turns around and she calls, right? She turns around and she calls. And she comes back to the husband and she says, Tahiti is talking about basically it's gonna be like $1,700 a night. When I called Italy, they act like they couldn't speak English or what have you, and I could never get through. They kept hanging up in my face. It was just a lot of stuff. Then I was looking online and they said it's not good to travel to Italy right now. Then I looked at Spain. And so when I was checking out Spain, they said this about Spain, they said that about Spain, and then they got the hotel, then they canceled the hotel or what have you. So it looked like we got to go to France. That's control. That's choice limitation, right? That's choice limitation. That means that she didn't give her husband the ability, a right ability, because she may have found out it's cheaper to travel to Tahiti this time of year. It's cheaper to travel to Tahiti. And so in that, she didn't give her husband the opportunity, right? So she limited his choice or what have you. And she called and they told her Tahiti was, they said, hey, we can get the room for this and this and this and this. Are you ready to place your order? She said, I'll call back. So she lied. So that's choice limitation. Number 4, Laban and Jacob. Laban and Jacob. You can put manipulation. That's manipulation. Here it is. Laban is saying, hey, listen, I want your daughter. Now, first you see choice limitation, where he manipulates him, said, hey, work for me for 7 years, and then I'm going to give you my daughter, because, Jacob wanted Rachel. Then he turned around and he sends Leah into the room, and 9 times out of 10, Jacob was up in there drunk. So he took away his will, like he overrode his will. So now he wakes up and realizes he slept with Leah. And you may say, well, I would have said, no, get her out of here. I said Rachel. Well, back in those days, you couldn't do that. Once you slept with a woman, that was like I don't want to say property, but it was like you couldn't return her. That was a form of dishonor. That would bring a curse upon you. And so that meant that he was stuck with Leah. He had no choice but to be stuck with Leah. And then Laban says, well, listen, you're going to have to work for me for another 7 years, and then I'll give you my daughter, Rachel. He does all that. And then even after that, Laban goes out of his way to hold on to him. He's constantly manipulating him or what have you. That is a form of control. Number 5, Potiphar's wife and Joseph. Potiphar's wife and Joseph. And this is a form of seduction. Seduction is control. Seduction takes away a person's will, because basically what you're doing is you're sitting back and saying, regardless of what you think or what you want, let me get you under a trance so I can get what I want. Let me get you under a trance. Y'all got to be active today, because the limited of people in the room, because y'all not that active. Let's get active. Let me know y'all are in the room. Let me know y'all are in the room. All right. But Potiphar's wife and Joseph, she says, come and lie with me. Right? She gives him and he thinks it's just a suggestion. No, that was really a command on her part. Come lie with me. And Joseph says, no, your husband trusts me. I couldn't do anything like that. Then at the same time, God trusts me. How can I do this? I have the spread of the home. Your husband is giving me, rulership over this. How could I betray that? And then she comes back and she says, another day, she says, lie with me. And he has to go back and tell her the same thing again. And then finally, she grabs him by his cloak because she got it in her mind. And the reason that she's dealing with that is because she was dealing with obsession, which obsession always leads to control. So she's laying in the bed 9 times out of 10 next to Potiphar, thinking about what that Hebrew slave man would do to her, thinking about the muscles and stuff like that, seeing him out there working with that fine man that you saw him out there working, picking up stuff, sweat running off his back. My husband can't even stand to break a fingernail. He like a little girl, but look at that muscle bound man. Look at that muscle bound man, or what have you. And so she decided, I'm gonna get him. Period. Point blank. Control comes in when you make a decision for another person. That's control. She made a decision, regardless of what he think. I'm getting him. Regardless of what he think, we gonna get up in that room and we gonna do something. And so she grabs a hold of him, and because she couldn't get what she wanted, revenge is a form of control, or it's more so, it's a form of control, but it's trying to control other people's perspective. So because she couldn't get him, she decided to lie. And of course, we know he ran out of the house, left his cloak in her hand, and she decided to tell her husband that he had tried to sexually assault her. And so consequently, Joseph ends up being tossed in prison. I don't know if I said David, but it's Joseph. Joseph ends up being tossed in prison, and she's pretty much trying to destroy his name. All right. And then the last example I'm going to give, and there are plenty of examples in the Bible, but these are the ones right off the top of my head. Ham and Noah. This is perspective control. Now, if you want to know the curse of Ham, or what the problem was with Ham, was that back in those days, and even to this day, a lot of times when a person wants your throne, your followers, or what have you, what they'll do is they'll say something negative about you. That's how it is. So, for example, my pastor had a video to go viral, right? That's immediately what comes to mind. He had a video to go viral this week. And yeah, just this week he had a video to go viral. And then this man comes out and decides that he wants to stitch the video and say some negative stuff. Why would that happen? Well, people do that kind of stuff. That's a form of control. It's not only perspective control, but the objective of perspective control is bring all of that attention to me. You're getting a lot of attention right now. Bring the attention to me. Let me grow my followers, right? Let me grow my followers, because I know there are other people that are disgruntled, that don't like you in this moment, that don't agree with you in that moment. So let me grow them. Let me pull them over here to my thing. So that's perspective control. Another, as it relates to Ham's perspective control was, let me change how my brothers see my father. See, when he walked in and saw his father laid out naked and drunk, what he was supposed to do was turn his head. What he was supposed to do is say, I want to make sure I maintain my respect and my honor for my father. But instead, he looking. And when people did that kind of stuff, it had everything to do with them wanting to steal that power or what have you. So that usually what happens is he says to his brother, or what he was expecting, he say to his brothers coming in there like, how you supposed to lead us? Look at him. He done got drunk off his own supply. And he's supposed to lead us. And then Ham be like, yeah, that don't make no sense. That's what I was saying. I wanted y'all to come see that because it don't make no sense. How you sitting up over there? Well, yeah, I'm saying. But, and then he would basically bring them under him. So I'm going to go take care of this. Dad, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm going to go take care of the goats. I'm going to go take care of this. I'm going to go take care of that. Basically, what he's doing is usurping authority, right? Which video? American Church, it was one talking about, I'll say go look on his page, because he had a lot of them that went pretty semi-viral, but it was one, which one was that? It's American Church, where he was talking about, what was he talking about? Don't get me in trouble on this live. Just go look on his page, because I know it, but it's not coming to the top of my head. All right. Examples of good control. Sister Amanda, thank you. God bless you. Examples of good control in the Bible. There's a such thing as good control. There are times where you have, like, for example, good control is when you tell your children no. And you don't move on that. You're not getting that candy because you're trying to keep them from having cavities. No, you can't stay up late. I said you got to be in the bed at 9 p.m. You're not going to stay up late. Period, point blank. You got to get up early for school. And then I'm not going to have you falling asleep in school. Last time you stayed up late, you stayed up till 11 o'clock. They called me, said you fell asleep in school. You made bad grades. So no, you're going to do what I want. Yeah, it is. The one he said Jesus isn't white or black. Thank you. Thank you. There's good control and then there's bad control. Now, I want you to always see control as bad, but understand that there are times where you have to do something. So Mordecai's warning to Esther, number one. Mordecai's warning to Esther. That is a form of good control. Because in that, he's telling Esther, hey, you're going to have to go talk to your husband because all the Jews are about to get killed if you don't. And then in that, rather than Esther saying, I don't want them to die, Esther goes straight into selfishness. She goes straight into self-preservation. She thinks, you know what? I'm in a space where I'm protected. I'm in a space where I'm shielded. And so what she does is she says, if I go before him, and he hasn't summoned for me, and and he don't extend the scepter to me, I'm gonna die. So she's thinking about one person as opposed to an entire nation of people. And then what he had to do was he had to tell her the truth. He had to say, listen, please don't think you exempt because the law is the law, baby girl. And so once they find out that you Jew, you're going to get killed too. Once they find out that you're Jew. So in cases where somebody's choice can affect the life of others, sometimes you have to tell them the truth. That's like, for example, I'll say when you see celebrities and the celebrities are thinking that I can lead God's people astray, but then I'd be like, up on the stage, oh, Jesus, ha, ha, ha. They got a lot of yes people around them because if they knew the truth, they would understand that, hey, you can't lead them astray and think you're going to get into heaven. Because you said Jesus on the stage. You can't lead them astray and think you're going to get into heaven. Number two, these are three examples of good control. Mordecai's warning to Esther was number one. Number two, Zipporah circumcises Moses' son. She had no choice. That was the job of the father. And Moses sit up there tripping, and the guy was about to come and kill their son, and she ended up having to circumcise the son, meaning she had to step out of order in order to do what needed to be done in order to save her son, right? And so let's say, for example, if my husband says, I'm the head of the home, and we had a kid, and my toddler's running in the street, and he ain't doing nothing, he always say, when it comes down to him, let me father him or what have you. If he's running out of the yard, baby, I run faster than you. I do this and I do that. But he over there playing cards or doing something and he ain't paying attention. Do you think for 5 seconds that I'm going to stand there? If I see a car coming and my baby running out there, you think for 5 seconds I'm going to sit there and watch him get killed? No. I'm going to get up, take off running, and go get my kid, right? And then 3, good control. I don't want to call this good control, but this was God keeping everybody in order, the law. Old Testament law was a form of good control where God says, hey, this is what you got to do. This is your limitation. That's all control is. It puts you inside of a limitation. This is your limitation. If you don't do this, if you don't do this, you don't do this, you're in trouble, right? You cannot worry about having everlasting life with me if you don't do this. And of course, at that time, Christ hadn't come, but those who serve Yahweh, those who serve God, they would go upon passing, they would go into the bosom of Abraham. They were going to Abraham's bosom, and that was considered like, I won't say a prison of sorts, and Jesus went to, after he passed away, he went and got him, right? But they were in Abraham's bosom. But the law, you had to follow the law. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not bear false witness. You had to follow the law. And then you had things that you had to do, like killing a pigeon dove, killing an ox and stuff like that. You had to give offerings and what have you. But we are released from that. Okay, signs that you are controlling. How many of you are ready for this? Signs that you are controlling. Number 1, the word no triggers you. You may find it hard to ask for something because you fear hearing the word no. The word no triggers you. You would much rather go without something than to ask for something because you don't want to hear the word no. How many of you can attest to that? How many of you can attest to that? The word no triggers you. Now, let me say this. A lot of this that I'm going to say, you're going to find that some of you do quite a bit of this or what have you. The objective is to locate the one that you do and then to undo that or to start coming against that behavior. It's not to say that you're entirely controlling. Some people are more controlling than others, but every human being on the face of this planet has a measure of control. Every human being on the face of this planet has a measure of control, or they deal somewhat with control because Witchcraft is one of the fruits of the flesh, or one of the works of the flesh. Control is a form of witchcraft. Anytime you try to control another person, that's witchcraft. Anytime you try to control another person, that's witchcraft. I love the honesty. Anytime you try to control another person, that's witchcraft. So the word no triggers you. You got to be okay with hearing the word no. Number two, you have ended relationships because the person did not do what you wanted them to do. You have ended relationships because the person did not do what you wanted them to do. I asked her to stop by the store and get me a cheesesteak sandwich because I wasn't feeling that good that day. And she talking about she bids and stuff like that. She out with her kids and stuff. And I'm like, I don't ask her for a whole lot. That's why I cut her all the way off. That's control. Because you're removing a person's ability to say no. That's what control does. It relinquishes a person of their ability and right to say no to you. That means that you have no grace. Number three, you want people to see themselves the way that you see them. That's control. You want people to see themselves. Now, you may see a person's potential. That's great, right? But you can't force them to see it. The only thing you're supposed to do is say, hey, you're great. You're marvelous. There's so much in you, or what have you. That's good. That's not control. It becomes control when you're trying to force them to become the image that you see. That's when it becomes control, is when you're trying to force them to become the image that you see. A lot of times we do this in relationships. Women have a tendency to marry a man's potential, but divorce is reality. I've said that 1,000 times. And a lot of times, both men and women do this, but a lot of times we do it more as women because we have it in our head. Like, we can see that dude's potential. We can see his potential for greatness. And a lot of times we start getting frustrated because we'll start trying to push him. Now, when you get married, push your husband. Tell him, hey, listen, you gotta go out here and do your thing, right? Because I want you to reach into that. But the best thing to do is to sit back and say, hey, listen, pray. Make sure your relationship with God is on point, because God will give them a revelation of who they are. God will give them a revelation of who they are. Number four, you regularly put people on punishment whenever they don't do what you want. You regularly put people on punishment whenever they don't do what you want. That can be cold treatment, or what we call silent treatment, which is one of the pointers. So we'll deal with that one a little bit later. Or you sit back, for example, like if certain people, let's say you got a friend group and there's like seven friends in your friend group. And one of the people in your friend group is named Ashley. Sorry if there's an Ashley on here. But one of the people in your friend group is named Ashley. Ashley was the one, or let's say Ashley, you told Ashley that all of y'all were going out. Y'all were going out to have dinner, or y'all going to have brunch. All the girls were going out. Ashley didn't want to come because, Ashley in a new relationship. And she said, I don't think I'm going to be able to come with y'all Tuesday because, Jacob want to spend a little time with me. What have you. And he hasn't necessarily asked me yet, but it's been the same every day. He's been wanting to go to brunch and stuff like that. And so now you find yourself getting frustrated. Like, you'd have been out with Jacob like every day this week. You can't hang out with your homegirls. You got to give her grace and allow her to build her relationship, right? You got to give her grace on that. If you put her on punishment, like for example, you post something to Facebook, and you going to the girls, you post their pictures, of y'all out talking about, my ride or dies, my this, my that. I love us, so we don't let no man come between us. All of that stuff, and they post up something like you over there. Hey girl, oh, you look so pretty, and you're engaging them, or they all comment under your status, and you're like, oh yeah. But then Ashley comment, and you like, that's punishment. That's punishment. Yes, control is a form of witchcraft. That's punishment. When you look, that's rooted in the flesh, and it can become spiritual over the course of time. That's punishment. I ain't gonna respond to her. I'll respond to her once she gets to the space where she understands what she did is wrong, and she starts coming back to dinner with us, come back to brunch with us. Shoot, that's when I respond to her. That's control. You're not allowing her to have grace to be herself. And even if Jacob is a jerk, if Jacob happens to be a narcissist, regardless of what he is, she has to figure that out for herself. Like, that's her journey, right? And so she can't live off your revelation. All right. Number 5, You cut people off easily. You cut people off easily. That's a form of control. Then usually that is, if I don't get what I want, I'm getting rid of you. And then you'll use those stories to kind of scare everybody else into submission. I remember having an old friend of mine some years ago. This was back in school days, what have you. But I remember her telling me that I cut this person off, and every time people do this and stuff like that, I helped her out. I didn't help her for all these years, and you know what? She gonna need me. She gonna need me because it's the same way with everybody. Every time somebody does this, every time somebody does that, they always end up needing me in the end. And I'm sitting up on the phone like, and by this time we're no longer in school. We didn't graduated or what have you, but we still young. And I'm on the phone like, Negro, are you threatening me? Because for me, that it was that passivity. That's that I'm hinting around to let you know that, all the times I've helped you and all the people that I've helped, they always come back. So just in case you get it in your head, because I'm just like, what is the point of telling me that? You can tell me about what the other girl did, but everybody, I'm just saying, anybody that does that to me, anybody that does that to me, that is control. That's control. So you want to be mindful that you allow people to have the grace to make decisions. I found that having relationships with people, when you give them the grace to be, if you hold on to them, they don't want to be held on to. But when you give people the grace to be who they are, then you are in good standing with God, or you'll stay in good standing with those people. All right, Stacy G, thank you. God bless you, sis. All right, number 6, you have an inability to take full accountability. You have an inability to take full accountability. Like it's either gonna be, it's not my fault, or it's my fault, but I did it because you did this. Like it's gotta be, I'm reacting to what you did. I'm responding to what she said. I'm responding to what he said, or what have you. It's never, I was wrong and I'm sorry. No, even if you say I was wrong and I'm sorry, and then there's something on the tail end, you wrestle with control. One of the things that you have to do is you have to practice taking accountability. I need y'all to hear me on that. You have to practice taking accountability. You got to practice that. You got to practice that. Number 7, correction to you feels like abuse or you're being rejected. Correction to you feels like abuse or it feels like you're being rejected. So if you got a pastor, a leader, or anybody in your life that corrects you and says, it don't make any sense, all that potential you got, and you just throwing it all away, you're throwing it in the trash, and you're not even trying to do anything. Oh, well, I'm not mad at you, I'm just telling you. And you take that as the person being abusive. That's not abuse. That person is correcting you. If you take that personal, then you probably have an issue with control. It should never be, because correction is sharp. Correction can never be like this. Excuse me. You I think this. I'm not trying to offend you, because then that person is moving in fear. That person is moving in fear. Correction. When a person corrects you that loves you, it's coming from a place of It's coming from a place of love. It's not coming from a place of abuse. But correction to you feels like abuse or you're being rejected. Number 8, you will lie to get your way. You will lie to get your way. You're controlling. If you will lie, you will sit back and say, babe, did you go to the store to get some chicken? Yeah, but they were out. And you said that because you wanted steak. You said because you wanted steak, rather than saying, I went and got chicken and steak because I want to have chicken. So you can cook the chicken for you, but I want steak. I want steak. But you will lie to get your way. Number 9, you break things or hurt yourself whenever you don't get your way. You break things or hurt yourself whenever you don't get your way. That's control. If you punch a hole in the wall, if you break a picture, all of that stuff, that is a form of control. If you don't get your way, you don't win the argument, you don't get to get the chicken, you don't get to get the steak instead of the chicken, or what have you. You break things or hurt yourself whenever you don't get your way. Number 10, you refuse to be in any relationship unless you're the alpha. Oh, y'all at? Where them hands at? Raise your hand if that's you. Everybody in your friend group, everybody in your circle has to be underneath you. You refuse to be in any relationship unless you're the alpha. That is a sign of control. You have to be in control. You have to be in control unless you're the alpha. Number 11, you threaten to remove yourself or some benefit of you if you don't get your way. I can't keep being your friend if you don't want to come out to dinner with us. I just can't fool with no woman like you. How you call yourself my friend? So you're threatening to end your relationship with her if she don't come out to brunch with you, or if she doesn't equalize her relationship with Jacob or Jason with you, or you threaten to divorce a person or break up with a person if they don't do what you want them to do. That is a form of control. Like I said, this is something that every person on here, you're going to find control in your life. And one of the objective is to eradicate it. So when I say one that hits you, just raise your hand. Say, yep, yep, yep. Acknowledge it so you can get free of it. Number 12, you practice gaslighting as a sport. You practice gaslighting as a sport. Gaslighting is when it's hard for you to take accountability, so you try to make people feel like something is wrong with them. You try to make them feel like it's you or what have you, like you twisting everything in order for you to get your way. You practice gaslighting as a sport. Number 13, you're impatient. This is where it gets good for me, I think. You're impatient. Impatient people are controlling. Prove me wrong. Impatient people are controlling. Impatient people feel like, I want this, I want it done right now, or what have you. Typically, immaturity, there's going to be impatience. I always tell the story of the time where I was married at the time, and we had bought this big, or we were buying this big giant house, and we had this really huge living room. The living room was probably from where I am right now all the way back to my kitchen. Like, it was a really long living room. The house is huge, and we collected wine. We collected wine coolers, not wine coolers. We collected wine. So we had wine, like wine racks and stuff all over our house. We also collected like shell, like the decanters and wine glasses and stuff like that. So one day I'm in the mood because I know a lot of y'all are like me, especially women. When I'm in the mood to clean, I better get it done. When I'm in the mood to do a certain thing, I got to move right there. Like, tomorrow it's going to be gone. It may be gone. So I better, if I want to do some deep cleaning, I'm in one of those moods. The sun is shining outside. Everything feels good. I want to smell some pine salt. I want my house to look good. All of that. So I was in one of those spaces there. I'm up in a good mood or what have you. I got the music playing in the house, and I go to no, I didn't have the music playing, but I go to my ex and I say, hey, because there's a shelf with the decanters and stuff like that on it. The living room again is long. I said, could you move this shelf to the other side of the room? That's it. Because I'm moving the stuff around the living room. I'm about to make it look good. I'm in a good mood. I'm cooking. I'm in a good mood. I said, could you move that over there? He says, Tiffany, not right now. Now, I had history with him. Remember, history. I had history with him. And my history told me that he wasn't going to do it. And it'd be a week later, I would have to ask him again, and he wasn't going to do it. And then I was going to get discouraged. That was my history with him. So I was like, he was like, I'll get to it and tomorrow in a couple of days. I was like, why can't you do it now? It wouldn't take you but about 3 or 4 minutes to just push that across the room. He said, Tiffany, I'm not doing it right now. So I'm like, man, forget that. Forget that. I'm independent. I don't need him. Now, I wouldn't have needed him had I used wisdom. Had I took all those decanters, because we had decanters that had liquor, like just about every decanter. We had crystal decanters all throughout the house, and then most of them had liquor in them. I'm talking about hard liquor that we didn't drink, but whenever we had people to come over to our house that drank, they were fine, and we would keep them up in there, what have you, they age and what have you. So we had, some of the things, most of them had liquor in them. So I was sitting up there. I decided, first I started taking stuff off the shelf, right? I'm just taking stuff off the shelf. And I realized it's going to take you a long time to get all this stuff off the shelf. See if you can push the shelf across the room. So I get behind the shelf. I start pushing. Y'all, it was going so easy. I just put my back on and I'm just pushing. I'm like, okay. I have it across the room. And he looked at me. He said, Tiffany. I was like, no, I got it. So I'm just pushing it across the room. If you follow me, you heard this story before. Y'all, I heard a click clank. I heard I don't know if you ever heard the sound of wood snapping or wood breaking. I can hear the genesis of it, like, And as soon as I heard it, I took off running, but it was literally in slow motion. I tried to turn around. As I'm turning around running, just imagine the scene. I'm turning around to run, and the shelf behind me is collapsing. I'm talking about breaking. And that's what happened. It broke all most of the glass, majority of the counters and stuff like that. Everything hit the floor, broke. It was wine. The house smelled like liquor. And he came up in there. He saw it when it happened. He saw when I was pushing it because he was in the middle of saying something to me. He saw when it happened and he just laughed his tail off. He fussed at me, but he laughed hysterically. He laughed at my independent self. He laughed hysterically because he was laughing at, he said, I ran like a person in a movie. He said the way I ran, it was like slow motion. He said, okay. He said, I ran. He said, you heard that snap, and he said, I just saw you turn around. He said, you should have saw the fear in your face. And he said, I'm running, and the thing was crashing behind me. After it crashed, I started crying. He over there laughing and talking crazy, and I'm crying. Where's Deb? He said, I told you. I told you. Nope, nope, nope. I told you, you don't want to wait. You don't want to be patient. You don't want to be patient. But that's a form of control. I was refusing to be patient. Because when I wanted something done, I wanted it done now. Some of y'all still struggle with that. All right. And I can honestly say, I still struggle with that in some instances. Like whenever I'm working on something, I want to get it done. I ain't got time to wait. If you sit back and tell me, hey, I'm going to send you, let's say the cover files. If I'm working on your book and you don't send me the cover files fast and in time, like for me, if I'm publishing your book and I'm ready to upload it and you don't send me everything else, I'm not going to sit there and keep emailing you. I ain't going to do it. I'm going to go work on the next order. I'm working on the next order because I don't like being held up and I don't like chasing people. So I'll be like, okay, hey, you gonna send it? All right, I'll get it over to you tomorrow. Okay, if you don't send it tomorrow, I'm working on something else. When you pop back up 2 weeks later, trust me, I got other clients in front of you. You gotta wait. You gotta wait, right? But impatience is a form that is an evidence of you being controlling. Where was I? Number 14, you will cause sleep deprivation to whomever refuses to do what you want. When somebody refuses to do what you want, you will cause them sleep deprivation. Sister April, you're beautiful. Thank you, sis. God bless you. God bless you. Whenever a person refuses to, and this is mainly for married folks, this is a form of control. This is usually narcissistic control. If you'll keep somebody up at night just because they won't do what you want, that is a form of control. That is a form of control. Another one I want to make sure that I say that, and I can kind of add this one to it. If you change the atmosphere in your home to teach a person a lesson, that's control. That's control. If you make your house intentionally uncomfortable, your presence intentionally uncomfortable, that is a form of control. Let your yay be nay, let your nay be nay. One of the things that you have to understand, and this is just me taking a break from this, but one of the things that you have to understand when you come in contact with people is that you have to give them the grace and ability to make their own decision, right? And then whatever they sow, that they shall also reap. That's a law. And so you have to let them make a decision and then, go accordingly. You shouldn't take them and say, well, I ain't gonna let you sleep. I ain't gonna let you sleep. I'm just gonna sit up and talk all night. I'm gonna sit up there. I'm gonna make, or if you've ever been married before, some of y'all been married to these type of people. They keep on bouncing on the bed while you're trying to sleep because they're mad at you. That's control. They keep hitting, they toss real hard on the bed. They toss to the other side on the bed. And you laying there, and all you doing is bouncing. And they keep doing it. And they know you got to go to work in the morning. And you turn around and say, what is the problem? Because I'm not going to keep playing this game with you. I ain't got no problem. What is your problem? Because I'm letting you know I'm going to get my sleep. I'm getting my sleep. If you're not going to let me sleep here, I'll go give me a room. What is the problem? I ain't got no problem. You want to go get a problem? Get out. Right? You sound, they're making all kinds of, what is the problem? I'm giving you an opportunity to talk to me. Well, you didn't want to talk to me earlier. I told you this and I told you that. So because I'm not giving you what you want, you're going to cause me sleep deprivation. Like you're going to deprive me of sleep. And let's just be honest. I think women are mostly guilty of this. Men do it a lot, but I think we have a tendency to do that. Because I can tell you when I was married, I used to be bothered I would be bothered if I was mad and the man I was married to he over there asleep like I'm talking about sound asleep, like he on a cushion of clouds and stuff like that over there, like he cuddling a teddy bear, and I'm sitting up there and I'm mad in my feelings. But that was a form of control. That had everything to do with what was in my flesh. That was me not having self control. That was me not having self control. All right. Let's see here. Number 15, you utilize guilt and shame to get your way. You utilize guilt and shame to get your way. Let's say you get your friend girl around some people or what have you, and you didn't told her, oh, let's go back to the friend girl example that, she got her new boyfriend and she kind of, she in a new stage. She want to hang out with him, but and we said her name was Ashley. And Ashley want to hang out with her man. And you got your friend group and y'all like 7 deep, but Ashley ain't trying to hang out with y'all because Ashley got her man. And you know what? She got a man or whatever she's trying to get. And so one day you're hanging out with Ashley and y'all happen to get around some other people, right? And this may be somebody that Ashley admires and what have you. They're not a normal part of y'all friend group. And you sit there and you try to shame her. You say, yeah, well, we aren't. The person says, I just admire y'all how close you guys are. Over the years, I've seen y'all. Like if I see one of you, I see all of you. For the most part, and what have you. And then you sit there and you decide to shame her. Well, yeah, most of us, we've been tight knit and what have you. But oh, Ashley here, she got herself a man now, so she's not all that available. She's not all that available. So, and I actually like. I have started dating somebody. His off day happens to be Tuesdays. They like to hang out on Tuesdays. And I haven't been able to hang out with them as much because I'm getting to know somebody else. Does not mean I'm no longer their friend. It does not mean I'm choosing him over them. But this is just the way she's interpreting it. Come on, Ashley. I'm just saying, I ain't never been kicked to the curb for no man before. That's control. That's control. I will humiliate you if you don't give me what I want. I will humiliate you. I will make people, I will try to change their perspective of you. I will try to make them feel bad about you. That is a form of control. Number 16, you become anxious whenever you're not the center of attention. You become anxious. Like every place you go, if you're not the center of attention, if you get lost in the crowd, why do I say that? Could you ask? I have a mentorship program. And I've had the joy and the luxury of seeing people come in who don't know how to sit in an audience. They get into a group, right? Because they're put with team leads. And every team lead has about, probably less than 10 students under them. Or what have you, have like 10 team leads. I think we got 8 or 9 of them right now, but they got like 10 students under them or a little bit less. If you have problems with control, I've seen people come in and they just start giving hell. That's going to be an issue. And I'm talking about, I've seen it with older people, but I mean older students, but mostly like new students. And so I always tell people, I say you got to get to know. We have to go ahead and acclimate them to the culture. Like, hey, you ain't gonna be able to come in and just start acting out, and then all of a sudden everybody turns their attention to you or what have you. But you have to be the center of attention. Everybody suddenly turns their attention to you because you are making the most noise and you're acting the most out and you're being the most negative and what have you. That is a form of control. It is a form of witchcraft. It's a person who's saying, hey, I'll turn this joker upside down. All right? I don't get what I want. You become anxious whenever you're not the center of attention. It bothers you to go sit out in the crowd. You go to church, it bothers you to sit up in that audience because you feel like you're so anointed. You feel like that there's such a big call in your life that people need to see who you are. They need to know who you are. That is a form of control. That is a form of control. I've seen people will come into a church and sit there and be like, yes, my name is Prophetess such and such. Can I sit at the front? You got here late. There are no seats available. Well, I'm a prophet at my church. Praise God. There are prophets sitting in the back of the church. Then next thing you need to get up and walk out. That's a form of control. You have to be, you feel like you gotta have attention. You gotta be the center of attention. That's control, trauma, all that. Number 17, you do not respect boundaries. Bound people hate boundaries. Bound people hate boundaries. That is a form of control. Excuse me. If you're a controlling person, you will not like boundaries. You don't like when people set boundaries, and whenever you see people setting boundaries, you be like, "Girl, that is so good. You should. I'm so proud of you for having your boundaries." And then you proceed to overstep them because you feel like boundaries for everybody else, but they ain't for me. They for everybody else, but they're not for me. And then when they try to stop you, because offense is an expression of control, right? Prophets sitting all over the place, and they like, I am prophetess such and such. I hide behind the veil. I need to be sat at the front of this here sanctuary. And somebody needs to let your pastor know that I'm here. Like prophetess Jezebel, you gotta sit there. There's a Jezebel spirit. That is a Jezebel spirit. But you don't respect boundaries. You can't stand them. Number 17, you don't respect boundaries. Somebody give you boundaries, you take boundaries to mean they're rejecting you, they're judging you, or what have you. You don't respect boundaries. So, for example, if you say, don't call me after 10, right? You're a whole dude, right? Anybody that's got testicles cannot call me after 10 o'clock, unless, I really know them and it's kingdom and what have you, because typically there is going to be kingdom. But I don't know you got testicles that you want to introduce me to. And so because of that, you can't call me after 10. Now, that if that's a rule of yours, right? And a person calls you at 10:05. They call you at 10:05. Hey, what you doing? Man of God, brother in Christ, son of the Most High. What did I tell you? What? How dare you call me? I told you don't call me after 10. It's 10:05. You gonna call me at 10:05. Then you got the audacity to have your sexy voice on. My voice sounds sexy. Oh, you totally try to disregard what I'm saying. You hear what I'm saying? Go to bed. Call me tomorrow. All right, your hour has left. It has lifted. Okay, call me tomorrow. Then you start getting mad or what have you. But you do not respect boundaries. That is a sign that you have an issue of control. Whatever. One of the ways you can test control in a person is always have boundaries. If you don't have boundaries, like you can't come to my house, I ain't coming to your house. If you don't have boundaries in the beginning, when you get to know people, guess what's going to happen? Then you will easily allow a controlling person in your life. Boundaries almost always reveal controlling people, especially when you execute them. Right? You 5 minutes past your curfew. Okay, you cannot come in here. Because you trying to come in this time, you want to talk this time of night, you probably laying down. And if you laying down, I ain't got time for you to be getting no arousal thing over there, getting all excited and stuff like that. Now your voice lowering, your temperature rising, and you breathing hard on the phone and stuff. We ain't got time for that kind of stuff. Everybody, but we trying to keep it holy, and you over there playing with yourself. All right, you don't respect boundaries. You don't respect boundaries. That is a sign of control. Number 18, you feel entitled to people's time, thoughts, and resources. You feel entitled to people's time, thoughts, and resources. Tell me what's on your mind. Nothing, not much, nothing. See, I got a problem. You don't want to tell me, like, dude, I can't have hidden thoughts. Like, if I got to reveal everything, do I got to give you I got to do a pap smear? What, list everything that I got to do in order for you to feel right. That's a form of control. And I'm saying that I remember I counseled a couple back in like 2015. And her husband was doing that. He would get mad at his wife because she wouldn't tell him what she was thinking. Literally. He said, well, she be sitting up there, she started looking, I could tell she daydreaming. And I asked her what she thinking, and she won't tell me. And now it makes me feel like she's thinking of another man. I'm like, bro, chill. Because if she can't have thoughts to herself, if she can't have thoughts to herself, she's under high level control. You have to let people, you can say, What are you thinking? There's nothing wrong with saying that. If they say nothing, or let's just you leave that alone. You leave that alone. You don't sit there and be like, I can't deal with this because you ain't telling me your most innermost thoughts. You want to know my prayers too? I ask God for this. You want to know what I used to ask Santa Claus for as well? Like for real? Do you want to know if I wipe front to left when I go to the bathroom? What do you need? What do you want to know my blood type? You need my blood type. What you need? What you need? But you feel entitled to people's time. Like I want to see you at 2 o'clock. Well, at 2 o'clock, I'm not going to be available. Don't worry about it. Thoughts and their resources. Number 19, you do stuff for others so they can feel indebted to you. You do stuff for others. You will buy somebody a bag of chips, pay for their lunch, but in your mind is really to make them indebted to you. And how you know that? As soon as you get mad and they don't give you, you remember I paid for your meal at Chick-fil-A. Oh, how much you paid? $12. What's your cash app? It wasn't just Chick-fil-A. Yeah, okay. What else? You remember we went to the Mexican restaurant? I'm finna tip you $40 plus the tip that you gave the waitress. Because we ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. The minute you start counting everything you did, that ain't love. That ain't love. You do stuff so others can feel indebted to you. I remember growing up, the older people used to tell us, don't take nothing from a man if you're not serious about him. Make sure you know him, but don't take nothing from a man if you're not serious about him, because a lot of stuff that guys would get would make you indebted to them. And there are a lot of women who were never taught that. So consequently, whenever a man buys them dinner, whatever a man does, he automatically assumes, because I took you out to eat and I did all that I don't have to get your permission. I ain't got to say nothing. I'm just going to take you to a hotel room. He automatically assumes that he's going to get him a little piece at night. And there are some women who never had father figures. Some women who've never been taught. You don't owe him nothing. And whenever you go on a date, if a man wants to take you on a date, take you enough money to pay for yourself and an Uber. If nobody told you this is me telling you this right now. For those of you who are single, if a man invites you out on a date, take your own car. In the beginning, when you don't know him, okay? Take your own car. Have your own money. Have your own money. Make sure you have a debit card, a credit card, and you got a CashApp, so you can get you an Uber, okay? So you can get you an Uber in case he comes up there, because you never want to be in a predicament where a man turns around and buys you a piece of salmon, and from that he think he about to go home and swim in your salmon. All right? I like to try to make sure I educate the women on that kind of stuff. Number 20, your love has conditions. Your love has conditions, right? Mad money. Your love has conditions. Your love has conditions attached to it. The only way you love people is if they do what you want. The only way you love people or what have you is whatever they're doing. I love her so much. Her. Your love can't have conditions because it's not love. Once you put conditions on love, it's natural love, not supernatural love. So it's not real love. It's not real love. Okay, I got 25 of these, so I got a few more. 21, extreme jealousy is control. Extreme jealousy is control. Jealousy is control. Extreme jealousy is high level control. So it's right. Okay, when you start talking about marriage, a husband has a right to be jealous of his wife. A wife has a right to be jealous of her husband. A friend does not have a right to be jealous over her friend. A husband doesn't have a right, or a wife doesn't have a right to be jealous out of nowhere. Like, let's say, for example, if you up in there putting on lashes, why you putting on lashes? Dude, who you trying to get dressed up for? I need you to go heal. I need you to go heal. Your love has conditions. Or number 21, extreme jealousy, or you deal with extreme jealousy. Extreme jealousy is a sign that you're still living in the last season, but you're with a new person. And when I say with a new person, I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. I'm talking about platonic relationships. You still haven't closed the door on your last season, but you got somebody else in that season, and you're punishing them for what somebody else did to you. You're punishing them for what somebody else did to you. Or you compare yourself to other people, you compete with other people, you sabotage people because you don't want to see them achieve more than you. You don't want to see them more successful than you. You find yourself comparing and competing with folks. That is a form of control. Jealousy is a form of control. It falls under the spirit of control, because what jealousy does is not just a feeling, it provokes you to sabotage people. Can somebody, am I wrong? Am I wrong? Jealousy provokes you to sabotage people, which is why I hate that spirit. It provokes you to say, I'm not going to support you, or I'm going to talk bad about you, or I'm going to try to, I will sabotage what you're doing. All right. It falls under sabotage and control. 22, you tear people down so you can build them up again. You tear people down so you can build them up again. Girl, I don't know why you wear that skirt. You just sit up there, but you know what? I like that what you got on today. That skirt you wore yesterday, girl, that wasn't it, but you look good today. That's control. You're trying to control what she wears. And why? 9 times out of 10, if it's female to female, it's jealousy. It's jealousy. It's insecurity. You look curvaceous in there, and I don't feel that way. Or I want to be the most beautiful. I want to be the most curvaceous person here, and what have you. So I don't feel good when you look good. You tear people down so you can build them right back up. After you tear them down, then you come running to playing the hero. After you tear them down, a woman turns around and says to her husband, I can't stand you. I don't want you. What have you? And then she comes running out there. She says, okay, baby, I love you. I'm not going to leave you. That's control. Or a husband does that to his wife. He sits there, he rips her to pieces. And then right when she's breaking down and sad, and he says, hey, I'm so sorry. I love you, baby. No, I would never let somebody hurt you. That's control, because what you're doing, you just tore that person down, and now you're playing the hero. That's trauma bonding. That is trauma bonding. That's creating trauma bonds. All right. Number 23, you utilize the silent treatment to get people to do what you want. You utilize the silent treatment. We talked about that, so I won't spend a lot of time there. I'm not going to speak to you, or I'm going to act funny with you when you don't do what I want you to do. That's control. I'm going to change the atmosphere in our house when I don't get what I want. Because every human being thrives in a certain atmosphere, but I'm going to make it where you can't function when I don't get what I want. So by me walking around, remember I told you, flipping around in the bed, slamming cabinet doors, I'm going to start acting like that whenever I don't get what I want. That is a form of control. Number 24, you tend to exalt yourself while devaluing others. See, I'm a good friend. I've always been loyal, and I'm always coming around. And just like that girl, Becky, girl, she don't know what it means to be a good friend. I was there for her, and whatever she, and then she was over there trying to was smoking marijuana and everything. Like, you'll tell everybody else's flaws, you'll tell what's wrong with them, but you'll never say what's wrong with you. You will always exalt yourself as, I'm a good person, I'm amazing, but everybody else around me is messed up. They all jacked up. That's why they need me. That's why they need me. That is a form of control. You're trying to control the perspective of others, and you're frustrated because you can't control the people around you. That is a form of control. Number 25, you use anger, name calling, or threats to get what you want. You use anger, name calling, and threats to get what you want. I'm gonna leave you. I'm gonna hit you. I'm about to end my friendship with you. One second. Give me a second. All right, sorry, y'all. You use anger, name calling, or threats to get what you want. That is a form of control. You have to understand that let your yay be nay. Let your yay be yay, not nay, but let your yay be yay and your nay be nay. You got to give people the grace to be what they want to do, what they want to do, or what have you. You have to have self-control. So this is where I messed up, but we're gonna make it work. I was writing my notes. I realized I was running out of time. I wanted to give you some pointers of how to overcome control. And so I'm going to go off the top of my head. I wrote 3 of them down while we were live, and I'm going to go off the top of my head. The first one is, one, you got to repent. You got to repent. You got to renounce that, because anytime you try to control the will of another human being, you are operating in witchcraft. Anytime you try to control the will of another human being, you are operating in witchcraft. That is illegal. It is ungodly. So anytime you're trying to operate, or anytime you're trying to control the will of another human being, you are moving and operating in witchcraft. Number 2, you got to learn to take accountability. You got to learn how to take accountability. Taking accountability isn't easy because it makes you feel vulnerable. And there are so many of you right now that you don't like the feeling of being vulnerable. You feel like if I'm vulnerable, then people are going to hurt me. If I'm vulnerable, then people are going to mismanage me. They're going to abandon me. They're going to reject me, or what have you. So you feel the need to prove that you're always right, or what have you. But no, you got to learn. And one thing I can tell you, accountability kills pride. Accountability kills pride. And you got to learn how to take it without pointing the fingers and saying, but, or, and, you just got to learn to say, I was wrong. I'm sorry. And then you got to feel it. You got to feel it. You got to feel it. Number 3, you have to get self-control. That's what the Bible tells you. The Bible never told you to control anybody else. It said, take the mold out of your own eye before you try to remove it from somebody else's eye. And removing the mold from another person's eye is an act of will, because I can close my eyes on you. But first, you have to practice self-control, right? You got to control yourself, control your feelings, control your motives, control everything. Not necessarily your motives. You got to edit your motives. You got to make sure you purify your motives, but you got to make sure that you are exercising self-control. Jesus, I thought I saw some move. But you got to make sure you're exercising self-control. You got to make sure you're exercising self-control. That means self-control typically starts, like, let's say you go outside and you go to the mall, and some girl walks past you and she bumps you, right? And you say, excuse you. And she that's where self-control comes in. That's a form of self-control. Your flesh is going to say, go punch her in the back of the head, go pull her hair and drag her all the way down to Macy's store and tell her, say sorry. All right, your flesh going to tell you to do a lot of things. Your flesh will tell you to get revenge. Your flesh will tell you to humiliate her. Your flesh will tell you to dominate her, to make her feel fear or what have you. No, self-control says, get over it. Feel the burn. Feel it. When you're walking by, you just have to deal with it. You just got to deal with the feeling. You got to deal with the, listen, I want to choke slam that girl, but I'm not going to do it. And then it becomes even more potent and powerful. This is when you start walking in your authority, when you intercede for her instead. Sister Diane, God bless you. Thank you. When you start interceding, it's one thing to resist the temptation to go off to cuss her out and what have you. It's another thing for you to intercede for her. It's another thing for you to sit back and say, let me pray for her. It's another level. You come in contact with her again, and she's walking by and she's like chewing her gum with her head in the air, and she tries to look at you. You go. It's another thing if you get the opportunity to walk up, and I don't advise you walk up at all times, but you got to use discernment, use wisdom. For you to walk up and say, hey, you look pretty. Can I pray for you? Oh, wow. Sister Crazy. Proud of you. Proud of you. Can I pray for you? Because in that moment, trust me, when people start acting out, there's a part of the flesh that wants them to go to hell. There's a part of the flesh. But then when you start really conceptualizing and growing in love and start realizing that how cruel hell is, then you start coming out of it. I don't want them to go to hell. I want them to get healed. I want them to be delivered. I want them. And one thing God taught me, this is how he helped me to move out of unforgiveness, to not just move out of unforgiveness with individuals, but move out of the mindset, the realm of unforgiveness, is he taught me, he said, the people who hurt you, if they were healed, they would be good people because I created them to be good. So why not intercede for their deliverance? What that's doing is what's in them or whatever hurt them That's placing that stuff in the line of judgment. And what you're doing is a form of deliverance. It's a form of deliverance. It's a form of deliverance for you to hug somebody that hates you. It's a form of deliverance for you to treat people well who mismanage you. It's a form of deliverance for you to sit back and to allow yourself to feel mismanaged, mistreated, misused, disliked, and yet you still make it a point to be kind, intentional, prayerful. It's not a good feeling. It is not a good feeling. But if you practice that over time, it becomes a good feeling, because then you start to understand I have to separate the human from the demon in the human. I got to separate the human from their issue. Because what if it ain't a demon? What if it's just they got an evil heart because of something that happened to them? Well, let me separate what's good from what's bad. It's a form of deliverance. Let me separate what's good. Let me hug the person that God created, all the while knowing that that person is hellish, and then just keep on loving on them until that thing break. Until that thing break. Let me move. But the problem that we have is a lot of times we don't execute that, demonstrate that, or we don't do what we're supposed to do, what we're supposed to be doing, because in that moment we get caught up in our own feelings. We get caught up in our own feelings. We get caught up in how I feel. You don't understand how I feel. We get caught up in that. I'm saying that to say, when it comes down to control, control is a part of the flesh. As I read this, some of y'all, you were accountable. You came on here and said, hey, that's me. I had that issue. I had that issue. I have that issue. Then again, there was some of you kind of kept it. You just on here like, you felt the darts, or I don't want to say darts, you felt the sword, the word of God. You felt the sword of God. But what I will tell you is this: you become more of who you truly are in God, the less controlling you are. There's a lot that control, because control is based on rejection, insecurity, and fear. There's a lot that control will hold you back from. That if you release control, you relinquish control, and you surrender and say, God, I trust you, that you will start to see the hand of God moving in your life. You will start to see more of God operating in your life, because He will sit back and you those moments where you feel like I'm gonna fail. I'm so used to doing this on my own. I'm so used to doing this, and then you turn around and you watch God take care of it. You're like, this whole time I've been running myself crazy. And I want to make sure that I say this: there will be times, because there are times with God where something can and will fail, and it's not really failing; it's failing in your sight. And God will allow it to fail just because He has something better for you. Go back to this phone, right? As frustrating as it is, I done forgot all about it already. But as frustrating as it is that they keep counseling the order, right? You talking we tried contacting you, they ain't contacting me. But as frustrating as it is that they keep counseling the order, at the same time, I don't trip, because I see God in everything. I see God in everything. And so for me, maybe God wants me to go to Metro. Guess what I'm going to do when I get over here? I'm going to Metro. I'm going to metropcs.com. I'm about to look. I'm going to look at their lines. I'm going to see what services they got. And I may be transferring this phone number over to Metro. It is what it is. As long as I know if I can get service in another country. The only thing I don't want to leave, I don't want to lose my impeccable service. Okay. As long as I know I can get service in other countries and stuff like that, I should be fine. I'm saying that to say, you keep your peace in life when you realize that God is in control. When you keep your peace in life, when you realize that, I think a lot of times with people, we try to make sure that they're not blessed in the end if we don't feel good about them. And you can ultimately, when you do that, you can ultimately set the hand of God against you and for them. Because God will then start to bless them to help you to understand that you're not in control. You don't got the right to do that. You don't have the right. You have the right to control yourself. That's it. You only have the right to control yourself. But if you try to constrict somebody, if you try to, then what God does is He says, let me show you that I have power over that person, not you. I have power over that person. God will allow you to prosper in the midst of control, because God is saying, let me show you that I am all powerful. Right. So if you sit back and you find yourself, you trying to stop your friend girl and you mad at her and you feel some type of way because you don't like her going out to eat with Jason and all this other stuff. But the whole time, and it's because deep in your heart, you feel like you're gonna get married first, and you don't like it because you had decided a long time ago that she was lesser than you. She wasn't as pretty as you. She wasn't as smart as you. She wasn't as anointed as you. You put that in your head. God will use the foolish things of this world to confound the wise. God will bless her right there in your face. God will give her a good husband. God will give her a lot of great things. And part of her revelation or her elevation will be being delivered from you. I have to say this. I have to say this. This is why your mind has to be, you have to have a very open mind when it comes to people. When I say open, I'm not talking about open to the things of the enemy. I think of it this way. I want you to think of it this way. Every person's mind represents a pot. Every person's mind represents a pot. You are a plant. Every person's mind represents a pot, right? This person, little pot. You can't grow that far with them. Sorry. They limit you. They limit you to your trauma. They limit you to your mishaps in life. That's it. That's all they think about you. And you try to do anything else, they don't know how to have contact. They get aggravated with you. They, what have you. They just keep on talking about the past. That's it. What you did, you just did that small pot. And if you are called to grow and you feel that growth potential, you're supposed, because you can take a lemon tree, there's certain things you can plant and they won't grow that big because of the pot they're in. There are some fish that will be constricted in their growth because of the aquarium they're in. If you put them in a small aquarium, they can't grow that big. But you can take that same fish and put them in a bigger aquarium and they'll get bigger. So you got the small pot, you got the medium pot, you got the big pot. Then you got outside. Sister Elizabeth, you're beautiful. Thank you, sis. God bless you. You got the small pot, you got the medium pot, you got the big pot. And the big pot looks like a blessing until you realize my roots go deep. Like, I got to be able to grow to my full potential in Christ Jesus. I can't get locked in this constriction. I can't get locked in that small place. I don't care how big you think it is. I can't get locked in that small place. I have to, like, God has called me to grow and I feel it. And you can tell because I don't like feeling constricted. I don't like feeling constricted. Whenever every person you come in contact with, and this is how you're going to know the people that are called to your life versus the people that were not called to your life. The people that were called to your life, you're going to see big pots and out. They're like, their minds about you is just kind of, I think you can do all things in Christ. I'm so proud of you. I'm believing God to do some great things, and even stuff that you can't seem to see for yourself. They will tell you, I see you like a giant. I see you like you're going to do some big stuff, right? It makes me think, Sister Mandy, thank you. God bless you. Beautiful. It makes me think of this girl when I was, I don't want to say I was a nobody, but I would say I was a somebody that nobody knew. But this girl that I was working at AT&T at the time, and she was heavy in the world. She was heavy in the world, but she believed in God. And I remember this girl, she prophesied over me a couple of times. She believed in God. But I remember she used to cuss a lot. I remember that, she was just in the world or what have you. She worked with me, and occasionally she would ride with me. Then she started coming to my house a couple of times. And I remember one day sitting in my living room with her. Now, this girl party, cuss, drink, fornicate, doing everything. She sat up in the house, and she wasn't drunk or nothing like that, hadn't been drinking. I remember she sat up in my house and she looked at me. She said, "You somebody." She said, "I see you as big, like for real." And this is how she was talking. "I see you like big, like for real. Like you gonna be somebody. Your name gonna be known, like the world." And this is like 2006, 2007. Your name gonna be known. You real big. Like your name gonna be known all around the world, and people gonna know you. Like that God has put so much in you. God will use the foolish things of this world to confound the wise. That girl. There were a couple of times where that girl spoke into my life. We got a conversation about God. There were a couple of times where she would speak, and she was accurate. Now, it was one time she wasn't that good, right? That's why you got to be careful. And one time she was trying to get me back with an ex of mine, and I was going through a divorce at the time, or what have you. But she was trying to get me back with an ex of mine. She said, "I know this guy, and I'm gonna call his name. I'll call him Jason." She said, and I was more word of knowledge. She said, she got a homeboy. I want to hook you up. Like every time I see him, I think about you. She's like, I don't know what it is. And she would cuss. She was like, I'm like, mother effer, I don't know what it is. Every time I see him, I think about you. And I was like, okay. And she's like, I don't know. I feel like y'all gonna be together. I feel like y'all supposed to be together. I told him I got a girl. Every time I see him, I think about you. Every time I see you, I think about him. I think y'all will look good together. And I said, what's his name? We'll just say Jason. And she said, Jason. I was living in Mississippi. I said, Jason who? Because I knew a Jason. I said, Jason who? She said his name. He had a unique last name. I said, girl, I used to date Jason back when I was 16 years old. I met Jason when I was 16. We broke up. I said, because he couldn't be faithful. He know how to be faithful. I got back with Jason one time, probably when I was 17. And guess what Jason did again? My brother set him up, and Jason fell into the trap, and he couldn't be faithful. My brother introduced him to another girl, which was something my brother used to do and think it was funny. But my brother introduced him to another girl, and then whenever a guy would fall into the trap, my brother would then turn around and come and tell me, or he'll have the girl call me. So in this particular case, he gave the girl my phone number. He's like, he talking to my sister. I he'd hooked him up, and the girl called me, and she was so cool. She was like, "You talking to Jason?" I said, "Yeah, what's up?" She said, your brother hooked me up with him, and he told me he didn't have a girl, this, that, and the other. I said, oh, okay, well, he's right. He don't have a girl anymore. I'm done. And she was like, oh, well, he ain't got me either. She said, cause I don't do that kind of stuff. I don't step on my sister's feet. And I said, I appreciate you. Oh, what happened? We both dumped Jason. Um, Jason stayed really connected with my family over the years. He was always coming over for my family, visiting my family, what have you. And we were just kind of cool. And then I got back with Jason when I was probably at a test run with Jason when I was like 20. I think I was like 20 years old. And I did a test run with Jason and what have you. And I already knew. It was like I told him, I said, you're gonna mess up. And I said, I'm telling you right now, this is your last shot, like for real. And I said, you're gonna mess up. He was like, no. So anyhow, Jason messed up again. And I found out probably a week after saying okay to potentially seeing where things could go. I found out a week later that some female had said to my brother, not knowing that was my brother, right? He ended up getting triple dumped, but said to my brother that she had came up to my job. I was working at Walmart at the time. This girl told my brother she was gonna come. She had came up to my job, confronted me. This was an older woman. She was older. Confronted me, and that she told me that I better leave Jason alone. I said, and my brother called me. He was like, "You okay?" I cussed that woman out. I was like, "Cussed who out?" And he said, "Did some woman come visit you on your job today?" I said, "No." What are you talking about? The lady had lied. I said, no woman come up on my job. He said, "You sure?" I said, "Yeah, I'm sure." And I said, "Well, first and foremost, she said if she came up there at 5, I get off at 4. And trust me, I'll be at the clock at 4 o'clock. I'll be walking around trying to finish nothing. At by 3:58, I'm at the clock most times." I said, secondly, if she had came up to my job, she would not be walking around, because I wouldn't say, she would not be walking around and telling you, okay? It wouldn't have been none of that. It's a whole different story. I don't fight over no dude, or I did not fight over no man, but it's a whole different story for somebody to come up on my job about a dude, right? It's a whole different story for somebody to come up on my job. I'm like, trust me, they would have held me back, or if they didn't hold me back, she would have got plowed out. She would have got plow dogged up in that store, okay? And my brother was like, and I said no. And I remember my brother was living with Jason at the time, because, like I said, our families were interconnected. And I had to go over there to pick something up for my brother. I remember I had to go over there, like it was. And Jason comes out. He said, "Can we talk?" I said, "There is genuinely nothing to talk about." He was like, "Tiffany," I said, "have a good time with your girl, like for real. Like I'm not gonna argue with you. I already told you. I already knew you were like that, so I'm not tripping." So I'm saying that to get back into the story. Oh, but to get back into the story, I she was sitting there telling me, this girl was sitting there telling me, "Every time I see him, I think about you. Every time I see you, I think about him." And I was like, "That's an ex of mine. He is a serial ex of mine." She said, I don't care. I believe God connected y'all. I think y'all supposed to be together." I said, "The devil is a lie. he's a fat face lie. Okay, he's a lie. I said Jason is a good looking man, but Jason is a hoe. Okay, but I remember she just kept talking and she said, just talk to him. That's all. That's all I'm asking. She had so much passion. She said, listen. I just talk to him. I believe this. Do me a favor. Just talk to him. Just get on the phone with him. Arrange a date with him. Just please. She said, I feel something, Tiffany. I feel something. Please. What she felt probably was a soul tie. She probably felt a soul tie. So long story short, I told that story before. I ended up talking to Jason on the phone, and he, in true Jason format, said, because he always coughed. Cause he had this real low voice, and it always seemed like he would cough before he said, "What you doing?" I said, "Nothing. Can I come see you?" And I come by the house. Now, mind you, I was going through a divorce at the time. I said, "Jason," he said, "We're just gonna talk." I said, "All right, but you're gonna have to park in my garage." Because, my ex come passing by this house and see some dude's car out there, and yeah, and he already knew Jason. He had already saw Jason and what have you. Matter of fact, he came in contact with Jason when he worked with Jason. He was like, dude, Jason was coming out the job. This is when I first started talking to him, and Jason was coming out of the job. He said, "You see that dude right there?" They call him they call him some little sexual name because he's a good looking guy. And he was like, they call him like chocolate sexy or something like that at the job. And I was like, Jason, he said, "You know Jason?" I was like, "Yep." He said, they date us? Yeah. Jason and I were on and off. But I let this guy come to my house. Sorry for telling this story. But I let this guy come to my house and I went straight in. I went straight in. So as he came, he parked that car and put him there. And I'm living in a rich neighborhood, okay, guys. I'm in a big old a nice little, I would say a mini mansion. It was 3,500 square feet. I'm in a, I'm the only black in this neighborhood. And then all you hear, a real loud car. I'm like, but he come pulling in. I said, pull it in the garage. I opened the garage door, pull it in the garage. Pull that thing. He had the nerves to want to whip it around and back it in the garage. You taking too long because the neighbors see you. This is embarrassing. But I'll say this. He came in the house and I went straight in. I said, let's cut to the chase. Who are you seeing? Because I'm not doing this. And he said, yeah, you always been kind of direct. I said, let's cut to the chase. He said, we talked for a minute and I said, cut to the chase. Who you seeing? He was like, I said, who you seeing? He said, well, I do have a girl in the military. We are kind of talking. I said, that's all you need to say. That's it. I said, so no. And I'm like this, dap, we cool. Like, just dap me, that's it. We cool. We ain't going beyond that point. I said, thank you for being honest. And you know why he was honest? Because he had a history of me finding out. He had a history of me finding out. He knew I was Inspector Gadget. So he knew, regardless of what he said, I was going to find out. So I said, just be honest or what have you. And he was like, and when he left, nothing happened. When he left, I was like, all right. He was like, well, you take care of yourself. I said, you too. I'm saying that to say, sorry for taking a long route on that story, but I'm saying that to say, in that particular case with her, she had a prophetic ability, right? But then whenever you're dealing with somebody that's not saved, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. You got to be very careful, right? Because you don't know what spirit they coming in, what have you. But one thing I do remember heavily is that moment, because it was so filled with passion, where she told me, she said, you somebody, like, I don't know what it is. I like when I see you, I see you like you a big name. You like this, you like that. I for real, I see you like this, or what have you. So God can use the foolish things of this world to confound or confuse the wise. Right. God can use the foolish things of this world to confound the wise. So I will say this. In life, the best thing you can get is self-control. One of the best things you can add to your it's like an add-on. You know how you add on to your computer or you add on apps to your phone and add on things? This is a great add-on. So I want you to see yourself as like some form of technology. And there are certain things that you can add on that will enhance your ability. self-control is one of those things. What you cannot add on, which will cause you to malfunction, which will cause you to begin to break down. What you cannot add on is a desire to control others, a desire to control others, a desire to dominate others, a desire to get your way with others. You cannot add that on. You have, the only thing that you can add on is self-control. You can add the fruits of the spirit, everything that enhances your life. Right? If you go on your phone and you add on a bunch of apps, you can potentially pick up something with a virus. So you want to be careful that whatever you're at or whatever you add on is that it's going to be beneficial to you and not detrimental to you. That is going to be beneficial to you and not detrimental to you. That's it. That's all I got for you guys. We've been on here for quite a little bit of time. I wasn't planning on being on here this long tonight, but I pray that you were blessed by this message. This was more of a pop-up message. I got to get in here and get busy. I love y'all. I'm going to say this. Oh, I got to say this. September 1st through the 3rd, September 1st, I'm doing my short film viewing. I am likely going to rent out a theater for it. I've been in talks with the theater. It's 150 seater. So I'm pretty confident that those seats will be filled. The only thing that I will say, like I said, if it ends up being more than 150 people, I may have to rent it out twice. But I'm thinking, I'm just going to chill and think about the 150. So I'm saying that to say, just so you know, I'm going to come here. Well, I have to get the actors and I got to get their confirmation to see how many of them come in with their families and what have you, because they like 40 deep, okay? Which means that they're going to want to bring 1, 2, 3 people with them. They're going to have kinfolk that want to come see the film or what have you. And then, so that means that there's a possibility like 60, 70 of the seats will maybe filled by the actors and their families or what have you. So for those of you who would love to come down, whether you're in the Georgia area or you want to come down for it, I welcome you. I will be coming here very soon, probably next week, to post up the link. We're just in talks now about the theater and how, to get everything. But I will likely come with an Eventbrite listing next week. I'm saying that to say, I'm just kind of warning you ahead of time because we don't have the full audience on here tonight. So this means that y'all getting it. I'm saying that to say that once we open it up, you if you wait too long, I'm gonna wait till I get my paycheck on the 3rd. It's gonna likely be booked. It's gonna likely be overbooked. I will likely have a form for people to fill out. Like, if I have other people that want to come and see the film, I may consider renting the theater out twice. But as of right now, I'm thinking about just doing it one time. But September 1st, we're going to have the viewing of the film for those of you who come down. September 1st, this is the plan. September 2nd, we're going to have a party, an after party, likely at my new shop space. Okay, leave your kids at home. And trust me, it's going to be a godly party. It ain't going to be nothing crazy, but it ain't my spot ain't kid friendly. I may have something for the children there. I may have a daytime party and may have a bouncy house or something like that for the kids because we had kid actors as well. And then on the 3rd, I'm inviting everybody to my church. On the 3rd, I'm inviting everybody to come to my church and what have you. So it's going to be fun. So we're making a whole weekend out of it. Do you need to register? Yeah, more than likely for the Eventbrite. I'll have the Eventbrite listing or what have you. So I'll make sure I keep you posted or what have you. But the Eventbrite listing, I'm thinking once I solidify it, I haven't responded to the lady as of yet. But I'm going to respond to her tonight. I haven't responded to her or what have you. So where I can get everything solidified. I've been working on other stuff. But that's it. Somebody hears me giving a benediction. But that's that. So September 1st through 3rd, I pray that you guys come down, make a weekend of it, make a vacation of it. It will be something that's fun. We are hot down here in September. I don't know what type of party I'm going to throw. We talk about red carpet and stuff like that. That's just kind of outdated to me. Like, and I know that's a thing. People like red carpet events, but y'all, we'll do. Honestly, I'm thinking about, and I'm just kind of talking to y'all. I'm thinking about a pajama party event. I don't know. I'll figure it out, but I was thinking about I'm thinking about backdrop, taking pictures and stuff like that, and maybe elegant pajamas. Right, you can glam up with your pajamas or what have you. But I'm saying that to say I want to do something different. I don't like necessarily following like norms and cultures or what have you. I mean, some of it okay, but like some things I'm just not wanting to do it with everything that's something everybody else is doing. All right. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.